Wires tangled loose and frayed, screens glued in the hoop once stayed. Code whispers secrets deep in the night. Tech warriors battle a fading light. Carey and Doug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time. Hum low, circuit screen pain. Motherboards cracked, it's a tech domain. Challenges rise like ghosts in the air, but they've got answers, they're fully aware. Carey and Doug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time. Carey and Doug with the wisdom they bring. Sparks fly sharp like a pendulum swing. Through the noise, the truth they find. Fixing the world one bite at a time.
Welcome in, everybody, to our latest live broadcast. Joining me today, Doug Betts of Live Windows Training with DougBetts. Hello, Doug.
Hi. Hey. Yeah, you have to excuse me. I'm covering my black eye.
Let's get some makeup in here. Makeup. Let me get us into a different view. Today, it is Thursday, the 23rd of October, 2025, and a couple of OG computer techs still working in the industry. That's him and I. And we have very different, not on everything, but in some ways that we go about helping our customers. We go about it in different ways. And it's, I think, very eye-opening to see how there are many approaches to this job. And ultimately, all that matters is that you meet your customers' expectations and you stay in business, right? Whether or not Doug would do the things I would do to solve problems or to handle particular cases or vice versa, the ultimate right or wrong is whether or not you're able to stay in business. That's all that matters. And so I love bringing on other perspectives other than my own, not only for my own awareness, but also to raise awareness to viewers that especially when you're looking at content online, it may not be one size fits all. And I need you to know that there are often many different ways to accomplish a goal. And that all of those, as long as the goal gets accomplished, whatever way works for you is the right way for you. So I am fascinated sometimes with Doug's approach. And I don't mean that in any other way other than genuinely what I said. And I have had, and I'm sure no matter who you are, no matter what your approach is, you're going to have difficult customers and there's nothing you can do about it. So if you decide you're getting into this business, just know what to expect and know that there are many different approaches. And ultimately, what anybody thinks doesn't matter except for your customers. So with that, we're going to get into a little bit of some examples of this today. And we encourage everybody joining us in the chat room to participate with us, ask your questions, and a shout out and a thank you to our friend Rick Lakes with a $10 super chat in there. Thank you, Rick. And our friend Buster, Peter Laycock, with a $14 Amazon gift card in lieu of a super chat. Thank you to Buster, as always, watching us from Scotland. And yeah, please do interact with us. We really appreciate it when you do. We may not agree with you or we may not have your answer, but we always enjoy interacting. So last we had you with us, Doug, was sometime last month.
Yeah.
Anything exciting in the last few weeks?
Well, as of last evening, I thought that I was going to come on the show today, opening with the statement that I am very, very upset at a particular computer manufacturer. It may begin with the letter B. It may begin with the word B. But I can't say that anymore. Because doggone it, they did the stand-up thing and made right by me.
Oh, good.
So, not doggone it, obviously, but
I was holding my breath for a minute.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of these B-Link computers, let's see what I got on here. Yeah, I got a couple names on there. I won't hold that up. But and I found out that my first one was ordered, what did I wind up saying? March of 2023, I think it is. So a little over 2.5 years. Yeah, March 3rd, 2023, actually. I started working on a set of these computers, of 4 computers for one particular client, and discovered that it had Windows 11 Home on it, where all the previous computers had Windows 11 Pro. And so I was initially very upset, imagining all that, what I was going to have to go through to fix that. I do want Pro on the computers. I don't have to have Pro. There are some benefits, advantages to it, but I very much wanted to be consistent, standardized across all my clients as much as I could. So I was very annoyed with that. So I sent them this message through Amazon saying, I have 10 of these computers on hand that I have not set up yet. There's 4 for one client. There was 6 for another client. I just opened one and found that it has Windows 11 Home. I need Windows 11 Pro. I've ordered a lot of B-Link computers, and they have always been Pro. The Amazon listing does not specify for this computer Home or Pro, because when I discovered this, I went back and looked at it. I couldn't find anywhere where it mentioned Home or Pro, but it was there. I do not want to open the others. It takes time to unbox them and set them out and find out what version they have. Please advise how to fix this and how to avoid the problem in the future. I sent that message to them at 10:30 a.m. on the 21st, so 2 days ago. How long does it take them to respond? It was 6:39 p.m. that evening. The response came, Dear Doug, please refer to the attachment. Our product detail page actually includes a labeling system. The attachment shows on their Amazon listing where it does say that it's Windows 11 Home, which you may have overlooked. I felt a little bit demeaned, which you may have overlooked because you're dummy.
You might be reading into that a little bit there, Doug.
Yeah. Some humans, me in particular, I will read into that, but I recognize that it was unfair, which you may have overlooked. If you require the professional edition, kindly provide the serial number located on the back of your device. We will then send you Windows 11 Pro key. However, please note that this will necessitate reinstalling Windows 11 Pro operating system. We wanted to make sure you were aware of this beforehand. I got 2 things here. I'm going, I have to get the serial number off of each one of these and do these one at a time. Now get past that. The part about reinstalling Windows. Well, I happen to have a video that I know where to find by a particular YouTuber who shows how to upgrade in place from Windows 11 Home to Windows 11 Pro. Doesn't need to be reinstalled unless, what if there's something about their key code that doesn't work with that technique? I don't know. So I respond to them. Their response was October 21st, 6:39. I respond the next morning, 10:10 a.m. I say, that's not okay. There's no angry face on it. Do you think they took it? I said, that's not okay. I looked back at my prior orders and found the word OS for the operating system. So their Amazon listing did not routinely say Windows 11 Pro. They just said OS. And I've seen that on other mini computers too. So why would I look at all the fine print on your Amazon listings every time I reorder when they have not included that info in the past, yet the computers were coming in with Windows 11 Pro? Always. I didn't have the word always there, but threw that in for dramatic effect. I now discover a third order that I still have on hand is listed as Windows 11 Home, which that makes 18 computers that I have on hand. Yes, I have 17 unopened computers. That one's open. They are all within the 30-day return window, so I may return them all if I can find some other brand that will substitute. And just a little bit of a threat there, right? It's not worded that way. Not really.
It's not worded any worse than what they wrote to you.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm just reading into it the negative sense that, you know, some people might read it because it's more fun to do it that way. Let's be honest. So if I can find some other brand that substitute, and I have, I'm kind of attracted to Camruri, although there's a few things I don't like about that. But anyway, why could you not simply have an upgrade order, you know, button to click on for $15 more for Windows 11 Pro? I'd be happy to pay that. This is a major problem for me. And yeah, I consider it a major problem. I have been promoting your computers as my first choice and showing them on my YouTube channel since my first order, March 3rd, 2023. Here's me trying to fluff a little bit, right?
Well, in all fairness, you do order a lot more and more often than a regular everyday customer.
I do. Since my first order, March 3rd, 2023, that's over 2.5 years. I wanted to standardize across all my client offices with these computers. That is absolutely true. I have said that on my channel, and that is, I do have a few other brands out there, but I want, after having tested various different models and brands, I'm very comfortable with settling on this. I have published a video showing people how to do an in-place upgrade from Windows 11 Home to Pro. It's pretty fast and does not require reinstall unless there's something about your key that won't work. If the technique, which is supported by Microsoft, it is supported by Microsoft, will work with your Windows 11 Pro key, I would be willing to do that process for these 18 computers if you can promise me that there will be a way to order Pro in the future. I am not willing to reinstall. That takes much longer. Please send a key for serial number, and I give them the serial number. I guess that's the reason why I shouldn't have brought this up on the screen. Glad I didn't. And I will test it. Dear Doug, they respond. Now, how long did it take them to respond to that? Too long, did not read. No. They sent that on, I sent that October 22nd, so yesterday, 10:10 a.m., 8:46 p.m. last night. I didn't see this until this morning. That's why, as of last night, I thought I was going to come on being angry with them. They respond last night. First, we recently updated the version, so the labeling was added just now. You know, I don't know when I first sent that message out, did it actually say Windows 11 Home on that Amazon listing, or did they go update that? When I went back to my previous orders and looked at them, it was there, but they could easily have updated that listing across because there was the same listing. So yeah, of course. We recently updated the version, so the labeling was added just now. We sincerely apologize for this. Bing, good words. Second, we are truly honored by your support and recognition. Oh man, does anybody have a hanky? Oh, that's nice. How sweet. That hit me. Nice.
How's that butter feel there? The butter.
Yeah. Just butter. It's all slippery. I'm having a hard time staying on my feet here. Okay, so then regarding your request for future models to continue pre-installing Windows 11 Pro, we cannot commit to this at present. Okay, right up front, being honest, Bing, I'll give you another check mark for that. You didn't try to BS me about that. Can't commit to it. They're not saying no, but can't commit. All right. We sincerely apologize for this limitation. Ding. However, we will get this. Get this. However, we will take full responsibility for your recent order of the non-Windows 11 Pro version, as this issue stems from our end. Ding, ding, ding. Wow. Finally, the key is, and give me a key, please test it. And I did test it this morning and it worked fine. I'm really disappointed that they've gone to home, but my loyalty quotient is pretty high right now, because them some pretty good words right there.
Well, it doesn't sound like they tried to gaslight you or deny anything. So they
Right.
admitted reality effectively.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had a manufacturer on here. I don't know if you've caught any of it, from a company called Nemo, Nimo. Oh, Nemo.
Familiar
PC.
with them. I have one of those computers in service with a client.
One thing that I failed to mention, I have before, but I really need to mention it every time I review one of their products. Let me come over here. Let's see. Trying to get my screen on. Let's go full screen for me first. And then let me turn on my window capture over here. Okay, so this is Nemo's website, right? And I'm just accidentally just clicked on something here. But if we go over to support, like we recently reviewed an N178. So if we go to support, and then we go to, let's see, that's the contact form. Oh, I see. There's a drop down that won't stay. Help Center is what I want. And the Nemo N178 had Windows 11 Home on it. And Nemo says, if you ever want Windows 11 Pro, just reach out to our support. We'll send it to you at no charge. And they, as far as I know, universally do this. So I was looking for drivers and support for the 178. And I think, I don't know. Well, here's a 175, 176, here, 178. Click on that. And it says these are the manuals, drivers, and downloads, right? And you notice it says the OS. I'm assuming you can see this, Doug.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm only seeing you. Oh, maybe I need to go look at the actual stream.
Oh, is it not showing?
No.
Oh,
no.
I know why. Hold
As
on.
a matter of fact, oh.
I know exactly what I've done here. Let me come back over to my StreamYard, and I should be able to change. Well, can I share my screen? Should be able to do that. Slides, extra camera. Let's do extra camera. What? I got to pay extra for that? Boy, I'll tell you what. I thought I gave them enough money. All right, hold on. Share my screen. Let's try that. Share the screen. And I want to share this one right here. Help Center. That's the one. How about now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm over at Nemo PC. Let me go back and do this again. I'm at their website, and I click on support, and I go to their Help Center. I wish this was renamed, but okay, it's Help Center. I want drivers and manuals. And these are all in numerical order, 151, 152. These are all the different model numbers. And we just looked at an N178, which is right here. And you'll notice for the drivers and the manuals on the Nemo N178, it says the Windows 11 operating system, or the Windows 11 Pro operating system, or the Linux operating system. And these are system images where you don't have to do any of the work. You just download it. You don't have to reach out to support and ask for it. You can serve yourself.
Okay.
And then, of course, if you want to provide your own OS, you want to download, let's say, Windows 11 from Microsoft, the make your own media installer, then you can just get the drivers right here. So everything you need to be self-sufficient is here, and their support is also there to help you if you need some help. But if you don't need the help, those delays where you're sending emails out to B-Link at 10 in the morning and you're not getting a response till 8:30 at night, that's because when you sent your response, it was 8:30 at night to them.
Right.
So that makes sense to me that, their morning is your evening because they're in East Asia. That's pretty typical for these mini PC manufacturers. But I thought it was a really nice touch that Nemo made this self-service available for those who are capable, or for their tech support to give you links to, in that you get your choice of operating system pretty much no matter what you buy. Because when I reviewed this, where I kind of dropped the ball is I said, it's really a shame we have an AI 370 laptop with Windows 11 Home. I don't know who made that decision. This really should have Pro, completely forgetting that Nemo has reminded me in the past, they will happily provide Pro. If the machine does not already come with it, all you got to do is ask support. So that's really nice customer service.
Now, another a related piece to that, though, and Brian made comment in chat about that I bought 10 computers, I think he said, which actually it's 18, and they only sent one. That annoys me a little bit, that I have to do the serial number on each of the boxes on each of the computers and ask for a specific code. However, that might not be the case. I'm going to ask them about this in another response. But when I was performing the Home to Pro upgrade today, it activated on Windows 11 Pro before I entered the code, implying to me that these computers may already have a digital license capability that Microsoft recognizes without actually putting in the new code, which is maybe something they might prefer I don't say. But I'm concerned that if I let the computer run that way, that might cause some problem regarding however those licenses work. So I'm going to ask them about that. But for your Nemo situation, I'd be curious what would happen if you tried doing the Home to Pro upgrade procedure without doing that download, without reinstalling. You should be able to upgrade from Home to Pro just by using the temporary license key. I don't remember the actual word for that Microsoft publishes, that you have to take the computer offline, click to upgrade the operating system, put in that temporary key while you're offline, not connected to the internet, let it do the upgrade, then restart the computer. You'll check to see activation. It should not be activated. I found it was. Connect to the internet. At that point, you should have to put in the code that was provided to give you a valid license. So you should be able to upgrade in place without having to download that and reinstall. But
right, yeah, I haven't tested that yet.
And I tested first.
Yeah, well, it was an aside for me as a review, right? Just to say, okay,
right,
keep an eye on that, and we'll just keep that in mind if you're going to buy one. And then I end up sending those laptops back to Nemo. So I don't have them very long. I'm kind of anxious to get rid of them, and partially because I've already given them a dedicated video. And there was this debate in my mind, should I go back and remake or update that video to the omissions that I had left out? And at the end of the day, I just decided we'll get it on the next one. They'll send us another laptop, and I'll learn and I'll make sure I'll keep a mental note to maybe try this with the next one, and around the wheel goes, because I can't keep letting myself get hung up on a project that prevents me from starting other new projects. So that's what I've ultimately decided. And as far as I know, they already have the laptop back. It's out of here, and probably already in their hands at this point. So that way we have a nice flow of what's coming in and what's going out, because I've been buried in just computers and laptops and mini PCs, and I've been doing everything I can to try and get rid of these things as much as I can so I can have a little elbow room in here. It's a very claustrophobic studio right now. But
Yeah, right.
let me ask you a question. Your audio got a little echoey. On the three dots over there by on your little preview window there on StreamYard, there should be something called Edit Mic Settings. And if you click on that, can you just make sure echo cancellation is checked? I don't know. It was fine. It is checked. It was fine in the beginning, so I don't know what's changed. And maybe it's just me, but there is a very, it sounds like two of you are talking together. Like it's not very much delayed. It's a millisecond. So it wasn't doing that before. But
All right.
it almost sounds like you're talking into a tube. Now,
what happens if I turn more straight towards the microphone? Is that any different?
No. Everybody else says you sound great. So maybe it's just me. I wonder if I have another audio source playing. Let me just double check.
Do you have my channel open as well as yours?
No, I don't. I'm just double checking. Well, if it's just me, I'm not worried about it. It doesn't bother me. I just want to make sure that, that it started actually when I went to share my screen. And let's see, I'm going to edit my mic settings. No, everything looks good here. Huh. Well, I'm going to leave it. If it's just me, I'm not going to worry too much about it. That's just, we'll keep on keeping on. We had a manufacturer called, let's play a game called What Would Doug Do? I mean,
okay.
Preface this. We had a manufacturer called Blackview reach out to us and ask us if we would review one of their mini PCs, and we've reviewed them in the past, just once. And said, yeah, we'll take a look at whatever you got. So they sent us this little mini PC. It's got little RGB on it and fairly well decked out as a mid-level, very inexpensive mini PC. And so I went to go to their website and realized they don't have one. And they're sold on Amazon. Claims to have a 3-year warranty, but no support information. So I reviewed it and I said, look, there's no website here. There's no driver downloads. There's no support. The box just says mini PC on it, So actually I might be confusing two of them, but the point is, as Americans, we expect certain minimal things. Like if you order a computer and you're a typical American consumer, you expect to be able to reach out to support. I expect to go to a website and read the specs, download drivers. And I let them know. I go, look, I reset Windows on it. I did a clean install of Windows. I was able to get the drivers on my own, but I couldn't get any RGB software to control the RGB. Now, look, this is not a big deal, but it's the point, it's principle. So I wrote to them, and from the people that reached out to me, otherwise I wouldn't know how to even contact them. And I said, how do I get the RGB software? And they said, oh, you can download the full system image. And they sent me to a Chinese website with no English on the page that requires me to download an app to put on my computer to a 14 gig download, which is obviously more than just RGB software. And that 14 gig download was slow. And we did it all in a sandbox because we don't trust what this little download app is. We shouldn't have to put a download app on a PC browser. That's sketchy. And I scanned it with Malwarebytes after about 12 hours when it finally finished downloading. After we made numerous attempts that failed, we had to keep restarting over again. Finally got it, scanned it with Malwarebytes. 27 issues were found with Malwarebytes within that file, that compressed download. I'm like, this isn't going to work. You guys have to provide just the drivers and just the RGB. Don't make me download the whole OS, because all I'm looking at is an operating system that already has the RGB and driver software injected into it. That's no good for me. Furthermore, you've led me to a Chinese website that I have to translate into English, download a third-party app. I don't know what spyware or whatever else is going on here. This may be the way you do things in East Asia, but here in America, we don't expect this. And you're going to have a lot of upset customers. I said, furthermore, you need to have a .com website so that you can see the system specs, contact support, create an RMA. And they said more or less, no. Just going to shorten the story. I was okay. So I went on Amazon. Now remember, they sent me the PC for free. I went on Amazon and I put a 1-star review. And I said, it looks like good hardware, but no website, no support, no downloads, no RGB software. This is like buying from a garage sale. You're good on your own when you buy it. Don't expect any warranty. There's no way they're going to cover it if you don't know how to reach them. Well, then someone reached out to us and said, we apologize for the person that you were communicating with. They did not uphold our company standards, and we want to make this right. I said, great. I said, give me a website, just a basic website with support, contact information, and downloads to the drivers and the RGB software. That's it. That's all you have to do. So they send me a .hk website, and the driver downloads are on an Australian mega.com file sharing site. I'm like, guys, if you want to do business in this country, you need to adapt to the way your competitors have adapted. Here's your competitor's website. All you got to do is copy what they did. It's really easy. And they said, would you take down your 1-star review? I said, just as soon as you put up a website, contact information, drivers, and the RGB software on a US-based site, if you're going to sell in the US, just like all your competitors do, I will update my review to reflect that. We'll give you $500 if you take down the review. Look, I can use $500 as much as the next guy, but I'm not really doing this for the money. If I've never made that clear, all I want you to do is what your competitors are doing. You pretty much sell for the same price, the same thing. If you would listen to me, you will have a better chance of success here in America. I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying to help your potential customers know what to expect. And the minute you take care of this, I will update the review. I'll change it. I'll remove it. That's all you have to do. Okay, we're going to do that. So would you go ahead and take down the review now? Guys, when you have it done, then I'll update the review. And then I just stop responding to them. And about every other day, same offer keeps coming in. I'm like, you could have had the site written. I could write it for you. It's not a big deal. But I don't want this to somehow in the future become extortion claims. Like, I'm just trying to be unbiased. And I guess they thought by sending me a free computer that they were going to get a commercial. No. Then I saw 2 more content creators write a review on the Blackview MP100. And one guy said, it looks like you can't get the RGB software, but that's no big deal. And someone else mentioned the 3-year warranty. And I'm like, guys, how do you activate the 3-year warranty? How would you even do it? And furthermore, where's the website for this company? So you could see the regular content creators are looking the other way, and they're not really thinking this through. And they're getting the free PC. I guess that's what I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm glad your B-Link story by comparison is much better, because if it was Blackview, I don't know what you would have done other than return the item back to Amazon if you were in your 30-day return window. But if you've got a 3-year warranty and 2 years down the road, you've got a problem. Now what? And the content creators that reviewed this didn't mention that. They just said it's got a warranty, but didn't so much as explore how would you go about initiating a warranty process on this. Probably go to their website. They don't have a website. Okay, you can see where I'm going with this. And I don't know, Doug, if you were me, what would you do? Take the $500 and remove the review?
Oh, you just changed the rules.
I mean, it's not like you're doing anything wrong.
No. You just changed the rules. You started this out saying what would Doug do, and then at the end here you said, if you were me, what would you? Oh, that changes the tables completely.
No, well, I meant, what would you do? Forget
Oh,
if you
what
were
would
in
I
my
do?
shoes. If you were in this situation, how would you respond?
Yeah, the problem is I wouldn't be in that situation because I don't review computers, and if somebody offered to send me a computer for a review, I wouldn't do it. And you and I have had that conversation off camera. You very generously offered to help me in that regard if I want to do some reviews, and I don't, because that's not what my channel's about, and that's not what my business is about. Now, if I got to let's suppose I actually bought that computer and then was trying to resolve those issues. Let's say it was outside of the 30 days and I could not return it through Amazon. What would Doug do? And this is where a lot of people are not going to be on the same page with me, but that's because they're not me and they're not in my circumstances. But if I had a $200 computer, that I don't know, that one might be more, I don't know, I would walk away from it. It would sit on the shelf. I wouldn't touch it. I've got two mini computers now here that won't boot up. And I haven't even addressed that on my channel because frankly, I don't want to spend time on it. It's not a computer. It's computers that I bought for my own uses. And I think I probably tweaked something on them. They were long outside of the 30 days. They worked fine when I first got them. But because of the business volume that I have for my business that I can actually charge my time for, it's a whole lot financially more sense for me to be working on something I can bill for than try to revive the value of the money that I put into that computer that I'm not about to turn around and sell it to somebody else. So if I were in the situation where I had a computer that I couldn't get support for, the company was non-responsive, I let go of it and walk away from that and move on. I can't spend the time trying to fix something like that. That's not right. But I would not intentionally, knowingly order from a company that doesn't fit the descriptions that you've described, where has a website, you can get the drivers, they respond to questions through the Amazon system. Now, I can't say that I methodically went through and investigated B-Link that way, because when I focused in on B-Link, it was a pretty quick focus. They had mainly, the biggest thing was they had lots of computers listed on Amazon, and the reviews were looking good from that. And I can't tell you that I saw people that had contacted them for support, but I suspect I probably did. Now, I had a thought. It's amazing to me that you came up with this story. No, the thing that's amazing to me is that, as you know, I'm not watching a lot of videos anymore, and I'm not catching all of your videos. But I did catch that video where you were talking about this issue, I think on a couple days ago on a members only, I think it was.
Yeah.
And so most of this that you were saying, I was going, man, did he record that? He seems to be playing that in exactly the same expressions and words to the whole thing, until you got to the money part, because I didn't hear you say that it was $500 that they offered.
I never mentioned the amount before.
Yeah. So see, I was paying attention. So I give myself points for that. Now, I have an opinion about that company, and I think it probably applies to a lot of these Chinese companies, well, maybe other countries too, I don't know, that don't have a website, don't have drivers, don't seem to know what they're doing. I wonder, are they getting hold of factory seconds from some other of the more substantial manufacturers and trying to see if they can get a business off the ground and then maybe get it going, and just really, truly don't have anybody on board that knows much about computers at all? Did some guy that had a bakery shop last week, hear from his cousin that, hey, you ought to buy some of these computers and they have private labeling on them so you can get your own name on them and sell them on Amazon. And so they don't know nothing about creating no website. Wow. Did I just use that language?
No, I think you said it right, because quite frankly, I don't think you're far off the mark. I don't have any evidence of it, but it certainly appears they either don't want to spend the money, or they refuse to accept the culture of how to do business in America, even though when they're listing their item on Amazon, they are pricing it along the same lines as an equivalent competitor. So they're aware of their competitors, but it's almost like they're not looking deep enough into after sales. What happens then? How do you get any return customers? And so my advice for them is really just to help them. Like, I'm not trying to insult them. I'm saying, look, you guys are almost on board equally with your competitors on Amazon, except they're providing support. They're providing a website. They're providing downloads. You're not. And your price isn't significantly less to justify that. And if you want to do well here and you want to have happy customers and return customers in America, like that might work in China. I don't know. But if you don't do that, you're probably not going to do well here. And instead of worrying about me taking down the review, you should just simply, how hard is it to put up a website? They've already got all of the specs and pictures on Amazon, copy and paste it over to your site, and then open up a free Google account, use the free Google Drive like all your competitors do. And since they don't honor intellectual property and copyright, you could literally steal your competitor's web code, change their name to yours, change their pictures and descriptions to yours, and then add your, remove their support links, put yours in there. It's a 2 or 3 hour job for the cost of about $20-$30. I don't know why. And all I'm asking is just do what everybody else does here, or don't sell here. But their solution is like to pay me off. Like,
I can give you a imagined scenario that would answer the question as to why they don't do that. And it might not be that far off the mark. We don't know who this is that Black Magic Design is. It could be
not Black Magic, Black View.
Black View. Okay.
Yeah, big difference.
All right. I just saw that name by somebody in chat. Don't even know what they're talking about. Okay, Blackview. For all we know, this could be a teenager that has availed themselves of some system within China where there's a company out there somewhere that is doing private label computers for anyone who will put them up onto Amazon and sell them. And if they can get your review removed, they will sell computers, even though they're not doing any of the upstanding proper things to do for a computer company. And they can make a boatload of money as long as they keep zero expenses, keep expenses down to nothing. And as long as they don't have any accountability. So they may not be what we consider to be a legitimate startup business, just very literally fly by night. Maybe.
I like to hope not. I like to hope they want to do business indefinitely. But if you're going to burn your customers, they're not coming back. So you've got to. Don't mind
if they don't care. If they're just going to make some money and run.
Yeah, exactly. If their plan isn't long term, they're just going to make a quick buck. Then I'm going to call that out. I feel it's my responsibility. You asked me for a review, right? They asked. I've given you a review. And I guess they thought I was making them a commercial, that because I got the computer for free, that I was going to somehow, I don't know, encourage people to buy the product, even if the product was terrible. Like, if you don't know who I am, then you probably shouldn't have sent me the product, because I'm pretty well known for this. And I'm sure you get those emails from companies that go, Doug, we love your content. You're amazing. And we have this new pet groom comb we'd like to send you. Yeah. Clearly, you've never watched my channel, right? They're just sending out bulk emails to channels of a certain size or category. We get so many vacuum cleaner. We love your channel. You're amazing. The content is so informative. You're so good at what you do. We're wondering if you'd review our vacuum cleaner. So you don't know who I am. Anyway, I think you're not far off the mark, although we may never know. But if they would go through the extra steps, we wouldn't question it to begin with. But I'm disappointed that other content creators that reviewed the same product didn't come up with the same concerns I did. That really scares me.
Yeah, they may have come out. They may have taken the money.
Well, they may not have been offered any money. They might.
They
have
may
just,
not. Yeah, if they didn't put in a bad review, they probably didn't get offered money.
Right.
But the part about them offering you money, and particularly $500, is that well, it's not zero, but it's also not a big enough number to justify being from a company who is potentially has a lot of sales at stake. So for them to ask you $500 to remove that rather substantial negative review kind of tells me they don't really have the financial resources, don't really have a business mindset, and obviously not a business mindset already because they won't do the website and so on.
Which is way cheaper than $500.
Yeah. And I'm kind of hoping on your behalf that they spread the word around to their other associates that are doing similar. Hey, don't ask this guy for a review, because that way maybe you don't get more than wasting your time.
You shouldn't be asking anybody for a review and then expect a commercial. I mean, in my opinion, if you want a commercial, ask for a commercial.
Still, they're not business people. I don't think they're not. They just don't have that capacity to think that way.
Or it's a cultural issue in China versus America. Maybe they do business this way and they don't think anything of, I don't know. I've never been there, but I'm positing all these possibilities to try and find an excuse. And I can't come up with anything that makes any sense. It's so cheap to just start up a website and put your stuff on it, and no one would know any better, but this is so blaringly obvious that when other content creators don't mention this as a red flag, it scares me that people trust those content creators when there's critical information being omitted. And I can't say if they're doing it with malice or they just didn't think about it. But if they didn't think about it, they're not good reviewers. And if they did it with malice, they're not good reviewers. Like, to me, the whole point of doing a review is to be thorough. If you're not going to be thorough, don't make a review. But those are Carey's rules. I can't enforce them, but I am disappointed when people fall short of, I don't want you to do your best. I want you to do my best.
I think you were doing a good service there, putting out that negative review in the way that you've interacted with them and the way that you're explaining it.
And I'm not profiting from it. If they fix it, I won't profit from it. If they don't fix it, I don't profit from it. But if I take it down, I profit from it.
Oh, question. The review, did you note in the review that you were sent this computer in exchange for a review? Did you give that disclaimer on your review?
Not on Amazon, I did not, but I did in the video.
In the video,
removed. They want the video and the Amazon review now.
So is the video linked on Amazon?
No, I don't think Amazon allows.
So somebody on Amazon won't see that link. See, I would have liked it even better. And I thought that you were supposed to, when you leave a review on Amazon, I thought you were supposed to declare that the item was sent to you in exchange for a review. Because to give a negative review when it was sent to you for free for a review, I think that speaks a little bit louder to the people who read the review. And I think you'd be providing a better service to them with that extra verbiage, my opinion.
I always think of that in the positive sense. So if you're leaving a glowing review and you're saying this thing is great, I think if you got it for free, you need to say that, because it may be affecting your perception. But if you're saying something negative, then I don't think it matters if it was free or not. Like that.
Oh, it does to me.
Well, why? In other words, if I'm saying something negative and I receive the unit for free, the The reason,
That
if it's
puts,
you understand what I'm saying, like if it's a positive review,
yeah, I do.
I think because you got it for free, you might have been a little gentler than if you spent your own money and felt like you got burned.
Right.
But if you
Right.
got it for free and you have something negative, then how does disclosing you got it for free change anything?
Gives you higher credibility in my mind because you got it for free and you're not beholden to them. If you actually bought it and you gave a negative review, for all I know, you might be just trying to harm the company because you didn't like something about you. You tried to get something more from them, or some way you were upset at them, and you gave a negative review with some ulterior motive. But when you were given the thing for free in exchange for review, and you give a negative review, that's higher believability to me than any of the other alternatives.
I never considered that because the impression by default is that I bought it. Even though I'm not a verified
Right.
purchaser, you don't have to be to leave a review on Amazon. You could have bought it somewhere else and you're like warning people or letting people know, your experience, good or bad. So I treated it like I would any other review. I didn't make any exceptions either way, whether I had paid for it. If I had gotten it for free, I would always make sure to specify, receive the unit for free. I don't know. I mean, I that's something for me to consider in the future. I just really want Blackview to do the right thing. And even though there's nothing in it for me if they do, there's nothing in it for me if they don't. In fact, there's something in it for me if I just take the money and run. I'm going to blame my mother. She raised me with this really strong moral sense. The last thing I need is to take that deal, and in 3 years from now, I don't know, I'm starting to get famous or viral video, and then they come out of the woodwork and go, this guy extorted money from us to take down a review. So if I never do it, I never have to worry about that coming back to bite me when it never even was my idea. You know what I mean? Like John DeLorean and the drugs and the DeLorean thing, where he was sort of set up. It wasn't his idea. It was entrapment. I don't want to be entrapped. So as much as appealing as receiving some money is, I wonder what are the long-term consequences should something happen where I become more popular. Like right now, I'm not popular enough, but what if I become popular? What if one of my videos skyrockets and then they come out of the woodwork and say, this guy is not as honest as he claims to be? That would make me a hypocrite and I would lose a lot of respect. And is it worth it for $500?
No.
Well, that may never happen. That's the thing.
No, it's still not. Well, there's another piece. I get the $500. There's another piece that I feel pretty confident in saying will happen. Another consequence that I feel pretty confident saying will happen is it will come back to your thoughts on occasion when you're in bed trying to go to sleep, and it'll come back and it'll just irk you long after the $500 is no longer significance to you. And even before that, I think just from what I've come to learn of you that you're not going to like that haunting your thoughts.
I do have a conscience, and it does bother the crap out of me. And I'll always wonder, unless it's very obvious, did I do the right thing? Could I have done it differently? Was there a middle ground? Like, I'm all about diplomacy, and I'm all about sacrifice in exchange for reward. And I'm willing to sacrifice if they're willing to sacrifice. I'm always about, let's play honestly. Let's not buy tools that help us win the game, because that just means you're wealthier. That doesn't mean you're better. I want to be genuinely better.
Okay, here I got an angle to pitch towards you to provide a honest, upfront, ethical way to take the money and take the review down. And here's what that is you declare to your YouTube audience that you're doing that. And what your intention is to take that down and then observe what happens with that company moving forward. Do they stay around? Do they, in fact, actually go out of business, even with your review taken down? And declaring to your audience that you're going to take that money, because you are providing a service to essentially the world about their computers. You have accomplished that with your video on YouTube. If anybody considering purchasing one of their computers goes to YouTube and does a search for it, they're going to find your videos. So if you keep your actual review through YouTube there and just declare right up front, yeah, you know what, I have done this service, I will go ahead and take this money and take that review down, except that you said they want you to take the video down too. And that's a deal stopper. You would, in order for my proposal to work, you would have to be upfront with your audience and the public at large about taking that money. That's not an insane large amount of money. That's not a criminal action.
But my Amazon review probably gets more views than my video does.
You know
what I mean? So
your Amazon what? Your Amazon review?
Yeah, the Amazon review that I've left 1 star on the product.
Yeah,
they want that removed. That probably gets more views than my videos do.
But that doesn't bring you any advertising revenue. That doesn't bring you any kind of revenue at all. The only thing that's in that is to stop people from buying that computer.
I'm not recommending anybody not buy it. I'm just saying, if you're okay with these circumstances that are not normal, then go ahead and buy it. I'm just being honest. I'm just saying this is different than other mini PCs where they don't provide the website or drivers or downloads, and they claim to have a 3-year warranty, but I don't know how you're going to ever.
I think it's safe to say that it has significantly damaged their sales. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying so aggressively to get you to take that down. So
yes, that's what I'm saying. On Amazon, I don't think my YouTube video makes much difference. Yes, people do look up YouTube videos, but most don't.
Yeah, but as far as the ethics of taking the money, I think if you were to declare it to the public at large through YouTube, I would be okay with it. And I'd kind of be interested to see what happens with the company down the road, because you've kind of forecast that they're not going to be able to stay around. I think you're right. But I'd kind of be interested in seeing that with your review taken down. As long as your review is up, then that skews the results. If they fail down the road and your review stayed up, we don't know how much your review being there on Amazon contributed to them going out of business. But if you take a review down and they go out of business, that kind of substantiates your forecast for them, your prognostication for them. I got distracted because I just got one of those memory leak crashes.
Oh yeah, that'll happen on YouTube. Just the refresh ought to bring it all back. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to poke a bear. I don't want to be. Basically, what I want to do is say, look, the same rules apply to all of us. So if all these other companies are doing it and you think you're exempt from it, I just want the consumers to know, because it's not otherwise known. It's assumed you would be following typical processes here in America. If you choose not to, nobody forces you to. It's not a law. It's a standard operational procedure that all of your competitors are doing, but you are choosing not to. You have the ability, you're choosing not to, and I'm just letting consumers know that. That's all I'm doing. Now, if you choose to get on board with all your other competitors here in the United States, then I will update the review. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, and leave it at that. I don't want to play games. I don't, okay, you send me 500, then I update the review, or you know what? Send me the 500 first, then I'll take the Amazon review down. I could do that. And then as soon as that check clears, I could post a brand new review saying, hey, this company just paid me $500. I don't want to go back and forth. As far as I'm concerned, they're now insulting me. They're trying to see what my price is, and their starting bid is way too low.
Okay, well, in response to that, Brian has asked us, what would you do if they offered $10,000? What if that was their opening offer?
If they offered me $10,000, I'd take it, because quite frankly, that could do a lot of good.
Yeah,
there has to be compromise. And what I'm not liking, and I don't really want to bring any specific politics into this discussion, but we seem to have lost our ability to compromise, where everything is going to be mine and you get nothing. No, I need to bleed a little bit, something I strongly believe in, that I think, is very important to me. And if I'm willing to leave that and say, okay, I'm willing to not pursue this thing that's really important to me, but in doing so, I can pursue 9 other things that are important to me. That's a fair trade. If I'm willing to give a little blood in order to receive so much more in return for other things, there's an expression: you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything you want. And in exchange for that, then the other side is going to give me something I really want that to them they don't want to give up. So you give up something so I can have what I want, and I'll give up something that I want of all the things I want, right? We don't all just want one thing. There's numerous things, and there's a level of priority. How much are you willing to sacrifice to fulfill the other 90%? So if I could take 10 grand and use that to fix up the studio and have a bunch of new video projects, then the good outweighs the bad. I guess that's all I'm trying to say. I'm willing to make a sacrifice in order, if the reward makes it worthwhile. But we're living in a time now where nobody wants to, well, nobody, I mean, the general public, it just seems to be very non-negotiable, acting like they're the boss. It's got to be my way. And it makes me sad, because there's a great sense of fulfillment and accomplishment and reward when you really have to sacrifice something for it. And if what you're sacrificing is really important. So for me, my sacrifice would be, I don't want to be a sellout. On the other hand, there's a member of the band, the Go-Go's, that when the Go-Go's started making pop music, that member of the band said, we're not a pop music group, we're a punk rock group. And all of the band is selling out. And you should all be ashamed of yourselves. And I want nothing to do with it. And so the Go-Go's went on to become very popular, to make millions and millions of dollars, to be famous worldwide, to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the member of the band who left based on principle, do you know what her name is?
No.
Neither do I.
I wouldn't know.
So which one's right or wrong? Like, if she was willing to sacrifice that principle, she could be famous and wealthy, of which she's neither. But which one makes you rich? Is it just money, or is it also your, I don't want to say pride, because that's kind of a negative word, but maybe sticking to your principles? But sometimes I've seen people stick to principles over real stupid stuff. These people shorted me a nickel. I'm going to spend 2 hours of my time arguing with them to get my nickel back.
Right.
It's not worth the hill to die on for a nickel. Just walk away. It's cheaper and faster. It's better for you mentally. Just let it go. Make it worthwhile. So I guess that's the part I would like to bring back: negotiation, compromise, sacrifice, and reward. I'd like to see more of it. And yes, so for $10,000 to sacrifice.
All right. On the related subject about the offers for partnerships that we both get on emails, I have responded to a couple of them that were products that I thought were reasonably in line with my channel. And the way that I thought I would pursue them, if it worked out, would be I would probably make a dedicated video on that item. This is a sponsored video, and just talk about that rather than trying to include it like on one of my live streams or include it in some other topic. And the two that I replied to them, I'm interested, tell me more. I didn't get anything back from them. They just dropped the ball right there. And I figured, they probably investigated my channel a little bit more and decided it wasn't worth it. And I also figured that by doing a dedicated video on whatever that product is, it's probably going to get more response, more views than if I include it within my normal content. My theory on that would be whatever the product is, if somebody was searching videos regarding that product, they might come across my video and see what I had to say about the product. And I would put some effort into give them a decent, essentially commercial, and accept the money for that. And I figured my regular audience would recognize by the thumbnail and the title that, oh, this is one of the sponsored videos, and probably wouldn't even watch it. And so that's a way to protect my audience from having to, rather than having sponsored content in my normal videos. So that's something that if it comes up, I might go down that road. You might see it. It's got to be something that I reasonably am interested in.
Sure.
And I can't quite remember what the last one was, but I thought, oh, this really does make sense. I'd like to do that one. Yeah, there was another piece that has left. Oh, I was gonna offer a different subject if we're tired of this one.
Yeah, feel free. This horse ain't getting back up.
Right. This was something that I learned this last week, and it might be, people might scratch their head. How did Doug not already know about that? I already knew about that. People in the audience might be saying, but I don't know. Maybe this is something that people haven't worked out and figured out. But I've come across this in the past. Some of my clients, more than I was anticipating, use dual screens now, 2 monitors connected to their computer. So I do this process of rolling out a new computer to them, and sometimes I go connect the new monitors, and I do the Fabs auto backup restore to bring their profile in, and the content on the screens are backwards. What's supposed to be on the left screen is on the right screen. What's supposed to be on the right screen is on the left screen. I think I did those right. And so I knew that this was probably not going to work when I tried it this last week. I went to the back of the computer and pulled the cables off and swapped them. And that does not work. If you go take the cables off of the monitors themselves and swap them, that does not work. In the earlier days when I came across this problem, sometimes they were, one monitor was a VGA, one was a, something else, DDI or HDMI, whatever. And I was thinking, maybe it's the cables, maybe it's the connections. No, maybe it's which monitor is connected to the computer first. Start up the computer with one monitor connected and then connect the other, and then do that backwards. No, that's not where the solution is. So I'm looking to see if there's any people in chat coming up with what is the actual answer for that. And in a moment, we'll see what Carey has to say before I spill the beans, because this week I did find out what the actual answer is to that. Oh, another thing I did is I took a computer from one desk, disconnected from its monitor, take it to another desk, and connected to the monitors there. And the content was on the correct screens. Okay. So I think I probably laid that out pretty good. I'm taking a look at chat. So yeah, I got to get Carey's chat back up over here since I had that memory leak thing, and see if there's anybody in chat saying, yeah, now Dennis gives a solution that would have worked, but I did not want to do that. He says, move the monitor. Well, these monitors are on stands. There's wires going through the channels within the brackets. Although disconnecting the monitors from the cable and then unscrewing them and then moving them over, putting them back on, yeah, that would work. Based upon what the true answer is to this solution. So reasonable answer. That was in Carey's chat that I saw that. See what else is going on for answers. Oh, and Scott in my chat said that too. But there's another explanation for it. And perhaps even knowing the correct explanation for this, you might still decide to do that, because the correct explanation for this has some other nuances about it that are undesirable. So you still may favor moving the monitors. Now, if they're just on monitor stands and it just means pick up one and move it over there and pick up the other, that's an easier thing to do. So there I've laid it out. Let's see. I want to see if anybody's given the actual explanation why you can't just swap the cables. And I don't think I've seen it yet. Carey?
I don't recall being in that situation. Usually swapping the cables for me has done the trick, but I haven't honestly had this problem in a couple of years. So maybe Microsoft has changed the way things work.
Ah. All right. So I got to spill the beans here in just a moment. Just look at the last things. Try change in display settings, Scott says. Okay. So what the answer is that Windows, when you go change your display settings, either for your display 1 or your display 2, Windows records that in the registry according to the monitor ID, a hardware ID code. So it's configured through the registry to that monitor. So no matter what cable you connected to it, even if you connect it to a different type of cable, I haven't tested that. My understanding is that the hardware ID of that monitor is going to stay the same, and it's going to get whatever configurations that you put. Now, the specific, another piece that this particular client was wanting, they used Microsoft Access for a custom-grown, homegrown database that I manage now. I didn't originally create it. It was there when I started working with this company, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago, something like that. And we've moved it forward from one version of Access to another. And the number of records, multi-row records, about 12 lines per record. There were 6 of them on the screen once I put in her new computer. And the text was too tiny. She wants that text to be bigger. And what I wound up doing is changing the what's that? Not zoom level, the display settings to 150% for that monitor, not for the other monitor. You can set settings for one monitor that's different than the other. I generally don't like to go 150% because there are some screens where you're going to lose the buttons at the bottom. You won't be able to scroll down to click everything that is on the application because a lot of applications aren't written to support that. It's not just a matter of dragging the window around more. You cannot get to that button or that action at 150%. 125% did not make it large enough. So what I'm trained this person for is that the items that she needs zoomed in big, she'll put on her right-hand monitor, and they'll be real big with that. Now, if she drags that over to the left monitor, then all of a sudden she has 6 records on the screen. Drag it back to the right-hand monitor, and she has 3 records on the screen because it switches back to the zoom level, whatever that's called.
The scale.
Scale, thank you, on that screen. So, yeah, I didn't know it's in the registry. Yeah, Rick Lake says, it's in the registry. Didn't know that. Scott says, did not know that. Oystein says, great to know. So I'm not the only person that did not know that.
So why didn't Fab's auto backup put it back the way it was? Why did it reverse it?
Interesting. Fab's auto backup was it was backing up the profile from the old computer, and I restore that to the new computer. You would think that monitor would come up with the same ID. I don't think on the old computer, in fact, I might wind up testing this. I don't think the old computer, I don't think we had the view level. Oh, you just told me what that was. What's it called again?
The scale.
Scale. I don't know that the scale was set to 150% for one monitor with the old computer. I'm wondering if maybe a difference in display adapter, or I don't know, something else may have made it more tolerable, may have made the text more crisp. I do not know that on the old computer that she had only 3 records showing
But you
on that
mentioned,
program.
you specifically mentioned Fab's Auto Backup in this
Yeah.
process,
Yes.
implying Fab's Auto Backup was involved in some, I don't know, had something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know that. What I'm interested in doing to test it is her old computer was actually a mini computer that I installed maybe 6 years ago. So mini computers are not. I was doing mini computers before mini computers were cool. It was I think it's a Dell Optiplex, and I had a few of those out there. And she was an experiment. I actually asked her if we could experiment with one of these mini computers. And I'm saying 6 years ago, and it was a long time ago. That computer is not capable of Windows 11, so it was a 6th gen. And I think we bought it new from Dell. But anyway, I'm interested in taking it back to her desk and connecting it to her monitor, to her monitors, and see what it was, because I don't think it was zoomed in like that. And it was Windows 10. So would that make a difference of how Windows handles the registry in terms of monitor ID? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I mean, as far as having computer problems to diagnose, that's not a big deal. That's not like super, production stalling, houses on fire scenario. Sometimes I'm a little disappointed by my support requests. My monitor that should be on the left should be on the right. Oh yeah, let me just jump right on this emergency. But
I have other examples that are less.
There was an update that came out for Windows 11, the most recent update that disables access to it breaks what was called local host. Are you aware of this?
Yes, and I that's another piece of your content that I did catch. Did you have spy cameras in my home or something to know what I'm watching?
That is a pigeon.
What?
That's just a pigeon.
Oh, it's just a pigeon, nothing else.
It's just a pigeon. Pay no attention to it.
Let me hit this before we get onto that, just to respond to Brian's comment. No, swapping the cables during a cold boot did not solve that issue. And another question I saw somebody ask is they're asking, why are they seeing chat messages on my side of the frame? And that is a feature of StreamYard.
I thought I put it on there for people that may be watching on televisions or things. And if people don't like it, I mean, I can just push a button and it goes away. But I don't know. It may be confusing, but I don't know that it's anything that should be bothering anyone.
No, I don't think so. I think they were just curious.
Now, with regards to this phone call I got, I have one customer, and you probably already heard this already, but for everybody else, they like to open their File Explorer with the preview pane. They have a lot of clients and things come in constantly, whether it's Word documents. There's a lot of PDFs that come in from the fax machine that are sent over to the NAS. And every morning they'll come in and, sort through it. And they don't want to have to open every single one. So they click once, the preview window shows the first page. And they go, okay, I know where this goes. And they move it into the appropriate folder and get it out of the new scans or new faxes. And when they're looking through, the regular files and folder structure on the NAS, then they're looking, they could have 100 or more files for one client. They're looking for a specific one. They really depend on that file preview, so they don't have to, again, open every Word document. They can tell from just the first page in the window preview if that's what they're looking for, and they can do that very quickly. So after this Windows update, last Tuesday, it said when they clicked on, a single click on the file, it was a PDF or Word document or Excel spreadsheet, it said this file may cause harm to your computer. So a preview has been disabled. And I thought, oh, Microsoft has increased the security again because, the internet's getting more and more filled with more and more jerks. But no, it turns out it was a mistake. The good news is it's a very easy fix. What's interesting is the file previews will load fine on the local C drive, but if the files are on the NAS, since that's not on the local C drive, it says danger, Will Robinson, danger. And you go into the control panel and you go into internet options and click on local intranet. And there's a button that says you can add a safe site. So the site, I click to add a safe site and hit advanced. And I type in the IP range of that client's network, 192.168.1. And then you hit the wildcard, the asterisk. That means any number that follows 0 to 255. Just cover the whole network. Click OK, previews work. There is supposed to be an update coming out from Microsoft that returns the features back to localhost to put it back the way it was. I was under the understanding it would have already been happening. It would have happened. I just checked it last night. It's still not working. And I guess maybe next patch Tuesday. But in the meantime, this isn't something that causes the business, any downtime. It's really just a convenience. They're used to it. They've been using it for years. How come it doesn't work anymore? And so I roll my eyes and okay, I guess this is part of the job that I don't find too exciting. But at the same time, there's a lesson in it, right? To provide that information. It should just be temporary. Making a video on this to tell people how to fix it is kind of pointless because within 2 or 3 weeks, Microsoft should be releasing that update that undoes the damage and making that video completely and utterly redundant. So, that's the other problem is if we're dealing with permanent security issues like with the Windows networking, peer-to-peer networking, that's a video that has legs, to stick around. But if we're talking about, something that's, a Windows update kills SSDs, those videos are still up and they're still misinforming poor viewers who have no idea. Every once in a while, I get a viewer that emails me. You probably get this too, Doug. And they're watching a video from 3 years ago and they're asking me questions about it. And I'm like, I don't even remember making that video. Why are we talking about it? It was 3 years ago. That computer or whatever I'm reviewing isn't even made. You can't even buy it except maybe on eBay or something. I've more or less gone out of my way to take down any Windows 7 content because all it seems to do is cause harm or do nothing. It's one or the other. So I said, well, if it's either not being viewed because people lost interest or it is being viewed because people are still using Windows 7 that shouldn't, and now they have follow-up questions to this old content, that's just harassing me. So I just delete it. And I feel like every content creator that makes content that is wrong, I feel they should have to remove that content. If they made a video that said Windows updates are killing SSDs, and that video, and then they correct it, they go, I was wrong, it was something else entirely. Why did you leave the wrong video up? So I'm constantly having to, address this with viewers who see a video like that for the very first time. And they say, what do you think about this, Carey? And I'm just like, we already talked about this 3 months ago. It's done. It's never was a thing. Is this ever going to end? And the content creators are making it worse. So in any event, I was going somewhere with that. And that is, so the local host issue, that's of the moment. The other thing that's of the moment, and I don't know how you're going to feel about this, Doug, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There's the original, the KVM, the Nano KVM. I know you're having some trouble getting the Nano KVM for the keyboard and mouse controls to work. And I've seen that happen on the Nano KVM myself. One way I recently had it, one way I completely rewrote the operating system and it seems to have resolved it, but you shouldn't have to do that for the damn thing to work. There was a model that came out called the Jet KVM. And let's see if I can bring up the Jet KVM website here. And what they did is they had a Kickstarter. And you could buy the Jet KVM if you invested in the Kickstarter. But then the question is, well, is the Kickstarter actually going to come to fruition? In this case, it did. But before they could go into mass production for retail, Trump was elected, claimed all these tariffs, and the company said, we're not going to, because of the tariff situation, we're not shipping to America. And we don't anticipate we're going to ship to America until 2029, which implies when the president's no longer the president. That kind of pissed me off because it's like, don't use this as political leverage. It's wrong. Hold on, let me try something here. Share a screen. Let's see if I can bring up the Jet KVM. As of yesterday, and I'm assuming this is working, can you see the Jet KVM screen, Doug? I think it's working. Yeah, it's working. It's now available via retail. So now it says buy today, and this will take you, let's say we want to buy the Jet KVM. There's 2 authorized resellers here. There is iCool Care and was Dippy. I don't even know how you say that. I went ahead and ordered a couple last night. They're, I believe, $89 each. I think they were $69 on Kickstarter. And this morning, I got an email saying they've shipped. There is some concern that they're shipping from China and that there may be unknown tariffs when they arrive. So when it arrives, I'll let you know. But the reason I mention this, although I'm not real happy with the decision makers behind Jet KVM for choosing to withhold this from citizens of the United States, it is a good device, and I've never had the problem on any machine of the keyboard and mouse not working. And more importantly, and this is the part I think you might find worthwhile, is you can set this up for internet access using their own cloud service, which is all built into the device, making it seamless, super easy. You don't have to set up Tailscale. There's no technical complexity to it. And it's not plastic. It's all solid metal with a touchscreen on the front. And you know, it still doesn't have a video pass through on that, but that doesn't seem to bother you. The fact that we're having options, right, that they're bringing this back to the market. So now there's the Comet KVM from GLINet, plus they have the Comet Pro coming out in December. The Nano KVM and the Nano KVM Pro. The Pro is still pretty new and rough around the edges. It's not ready for prime time, in my opinion. The Jet KVM seems like it really hasn't had any updates, but on the other hand, doesn't seem to need any. It just works. So if I want remote access to Studio A, I'll use Jet KVM to get that. But if I want local access here in the building, I'll use a Nano KVM for it, because if the keyboard and mouse doesn't work, it's easy enough for me to just change the USB port or fuss around with it. But I can't fuss around with it when it's 30 miles away. So just put it out there for anybody that's interested. It is back to being available for sale right now in the United States and all over the world, quite frankly. And just jetkvm.com. And let's see, let me get back over here to oh, there he is. Click me on stage. Sorry. I was so busy looking at my screen, I wasn't watching what was going on over here. Did it take you off stage when I... No,
I clicked myself off stage because I wanted to make an adjustment to my camera. I did not know that I could not bring myself back.
Oh.
So I've been hearing you, but you haven't been hearing me. Oh,
okay. Sorry, I didn't realize. So anyway, that's the news that just came out yesterday. There is no Jet KVM Pro. Dennis is asking. This is just the original Jet KVM. But, you know, there is some concern about the tariffs. But my feeling is, look, instead of telling us we're not going to sell it in your country because of unknown tariffs, why not let your consumer make that decision? Like, right. Why not say, we can sell it to you, but we can't guarantee that you could potentially have 100% tariff. We don't know. And since we don't know, you have to agree that you're responsible for that, and we're happy to sell it. But they took it completely off the table, said, we're making this decision on your behalf because we think you're going to get mad at us about it. and we're going to protect ourselves before we help you. That's the way I read into it. In the chat room, hold on a second. Let me get back to, let's get back to us side by side here. In the chat room, iCool Core is not responsible for any customs and taxes applied to your order. All fees imposed on or after shipping are the responsibility of the customer. Yeah, I have no problem with that, because here's the downside of it. The downside is some people ordered multiple units from Kickstarter for one reason or another. No one could have predicted this was going to happen. So then people find out about it 3 months later and go, I want to buy one. And now these tariffs have gone into effect. And Jet KVM is saying, we're not going to sell it to you if you live in the United States. It's a form of discrimination, in my opinion. So scalpers who bought 5, which I think was the limit, say, you know, I'd be willing to part with 3 of these for $300 a piece. So now as an American, you can go on eBay and you can pay $300 for this $70 device. And then you don't have to pay any tariffs because it's already here in the country. But if you paid $70 for it with a 100% tariff, you'd be paying $140, which could still buy you 2 with change left over at the price the scalper wants on eBay. So what Jet KVM did is they gave scalpers a leg up with regards to how badly do you want it?
Right.
How much are you willing to pay? Versus saying you can pay whatever the tariff is. Like Trump mentions a 100% tariff going into effect on November 1st from items coming from China. But they may negotiate that out between now and then. We'll see. As long as your item ships before the tariff takes effect, you should get whatever the current tariff is. Let's say this 100% tariff does in fact go into effect on November 1st, then if you ordered after that date, on or after the date of the effect of the tariff, then that's what you should expect. It's not like the tariffs are a secret. So I'll be interested to see what my real experience is. I am impressed that I ordered it last night. It's already said it shipped. So I should have it within about 2 weeks. And if I have to pay $30-40 in tariffs, who cares? I ordered 3 of them, so it's already $300. What's another $30 or $40? 10%. But if the price is another $300, you know what? I'm still going to pay it, because even at $200 a piece, that's still $100 less than they are on eBay. So in the meantime, you can continue to wait and not buy anything, and then you don't have to worry about it. Or you have to wait for somebody like me to report back and say, hey, I ordered it. Here's how long it took to process. Here's how long it took to receive. And here's what, or if any tariffs I had to pay. So you can continue to wait until that information, but that is subject to change because the government does what the government does. And the Chinese government does, you know, there's no good or bad here. They're both, you know, trying to pull the rug out from each other and gain leverage. And until that gets settled in, this is going to continue. Now, it's interesting to me how companies from China are avoiding these tariffs. I've received several items from China that had no tariff requirement. I've only had one package so far that I had to pay a tariff on. But it's changing so rapidly. I just don't know. But in any event, if you've ever used a Jet KVM, I think you'll find it's much, much friendlier for your particular use case scenario than the Nano KVM.
Okay.
Don't let your Nano KVM sour you to thinking they're all the same.
Well, the thing that's made me not very motivated to even try any further is that the use case scenarios where I'd be interested in placing it are 10-minute, 15-minute drive away from me. And it's so rare that I need to do anything that involves using that I just, in fact, I've got one installed right now at a client's office, and I have yet to use it because it's just so easy to drive over there. So it's,
yeah, but it's hard to get it to some of the trouble you've had, right? And I think that with like
No,
the jet,
sorry, even if it was working, even if it was working perfectly, I still don't know that I'd be using it.
well, here's the thing. So with the Jet KVM, when I want to access it remotely, I
Yeah.
open my browser, I go to app.jetkvm.com, where I've created an account, and I associate my unit to that account. So it shows every unit I've associated, and I give them names.
All right.
So I want Studio A. I click on the Jet KVM to Studio A. I'm instantly connected. There's no other login or password, and it just works and it's fast. So that may, once you have that experience, you might decide, yeah, it is only 10 minutes away, but this is just 2 clicks away, and it might change your
Well,
perspective.
yeah, having them all listed there, so I don't have to actually connect to a computer that's on the local network. Because as you're describing, these are all accessible over the internet, right?
With the Jet KVM, you can do it either way, but the Jet KVM and the Comet, they have a website that you go to versus Tailscale, which is basically GitHub, WireGuard, and this other stuff. If you're more technically minded, you might prefer the GitHub Tailscale. But it's nice to know you have options. And so the Jet KVM made that seamless. And since I had the Jet KVM first,
Want to bring
it was
yourself on
unique.
screen?
What's that?
Bring yourself back on screen.
Oh, there I am. When I had the Jet KVM, instead of having to go through all these additional steps that like the Nano KVM requires for setting up Tailscale, if you've never used Tailscale before, it's going to be a little intimidating. But the Jet KVM, it's all built in. It's baked in with Jet KVM's own cloud service.
Okay.
And that way you just create your account at Jet KVM and you associate that account to that particular KVM you own, and those two are bonded. And then when you log into apps, I think it's app.jetkvm.com. Once you sign into it, the browser will remember you. You don't have to necessarily sign into it every time. You sign into the free account you made, and then every KVM you've bonded to it appears on the screen. So you can connect to multiples at the same time. I just have the one, so it's real easy. It shows it as an icon on the screen on the website. I click on it. I am instantly attached to the remote PC, and it's fast. That mouse delay doesn't seem to exist. The screen refresh rate is fantastic. I just don't like the people behind the company. But I'm telling you, it's for the way you're describing some of the frustrations you had with the Nano KVM. It may not be that that's a good solution for you, but I guess all I'm trying to say is it might be worthwhile to have the experience. It's under $100. I mean,
now is that the one that's having the tariff problems?
Potentially, yes. Yeah, and what's interesting,
so
the Nano KVMs came in without any tariff at all.
And Jet KVM, would I be ordering that from Amazon or directly from their website or what?
Yeah, if you go to jetkvm.com, you'll see it says order now. And they've partnered up with 2 sites that do sales. I used iCoolCare because I don't know the other one. And that's the one I ordered from, was iCoolCare, because I've ordered from them before. So since that was familiar to me, I know they're trustworthy, and I use PayPal to pay for it, so I'm protected just in case. And yeah, that was last night. This morning I got the shipping notification. So if there's a tariff on it and how much it is, I'll let you know when I receive it. If it is shipping from China, which I've heard it's shipping from overseas, it's probably going to be 2 weeks before I get it, 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so you said iCoolCare? I've
Yes.
got this screen shared now if you're interested in showing it to the audience.
Oh, I see. Yep. Right there.
iCoolCare. All right. So then I just, as you're talking, I just got a notion of another computer that my remote access to them are 2 obsolete servers that apparently no longer get along very well with remote access software programs. And they're well, for a couple other reasons. Might be interested in putting these on those 2 servers.
I'd say buy one, try it. If you don't like it, say, Carey, I don't like
Yeah.
this, and I'll buy it from you. Because
Oh,
I
all
wouldn't
right.
mind having a few extras, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So included jet KVM extensions. No, I don't need any of those extensions, right?
No, those are just accessories.
Okay. Total frequency. So then if I add that to cart, and then somewhere's probably going to have to create an account or something. Check out worry-free purchase.
I didn't know we were going to do this during a live show.
Well, I don't know how far I'm going to go with this. I wasn't. I as you were talking about this, I wasn't at all interested until something clicked. I said, "Oh, wait a minute, I could do this with that."
You said maybe this will shut them up.
I know. I'm kind of interested in that worry-free purchase thing for $1.35.
I mean, they were
all this stuff
$69 when
going
they
on.
introduced them, so the price has gone up about
Yeah.
$20, but they're still worth it. They're unlike the Nano KVM, which is very cheaply made. This thing is all metal. You don't want to drop it on a toe because that would hurt.
All right. Well, that's okay with where it's going to be. So I was mainly interested in whether it's going to give me any blockage about the location. Because when I asked you, is this the one that's having the tariff issues? You kind of replied with a maybe, I think.
There's probably going to be some kind of tariff put on it, would be my guess.
All right. Well, that's okay. If this works, we don't need to go through this any further online on the show, but I might go ahead and do this, and whether it works or not, I'll be charging this to my client.
Well, there you go. Anyway, yeah,
because it would be worthwhile. It would be a worthy thing for them.
And this
Even
100% tariff thing isn't. It's just being talked about as a threat, which he might see through. We'll see. The last time he did this, the Chinese government gave in, and they negotiated.
Okay.
Now it's come up again because the Chinese decided we're going to charge you a tariff now on these minerals that you need for electronics creation. And so Trump said, well, if you're going to do that, we're putting 100% tariff on everything. And now we have a few weeks between when that takes effect on November 1st for those two to be motivated to work it out so that it works out for the best interest of both countries. And this is what they've always done before. It's just a whole lot of dog and pony show, a lot of threats. But sometimes without the threats, there's no motivation to negotiate. So it may be just a necessary part of the process. And, maybe this time will be different. Maybe they won't care about cutting off their nose to spite their face. Maybe they'll say, then charge your 100% tariff. See if we care. It's never happened before, but maybe, they also haven't shut the government down for 26 days. That's new. So anyway, I've decided even if it was 100% tariff, to me, it's still worth it. So I don't care.
Yeah. If it serves a purpose that justifies the money, then I don't have a problem paying the money.
I wasn't going to spend 300 plus from some scalper on eBay. That just, no. If it was $300 and the profit was going to, a dog charity or something, some kind of charity, maybe I could swallow that pill.
Yeah, there's a couple other considerations going through my mind, but I need to think.
Well, I'll be interested if you do get one, what your impression of it is compared to the Nano KVM.
All right.
Because they're very different. And the Nano KVM sells for about half the price for a reason. It's very simple. This one's much better quality all the way around, in my opinion. But the Nano KVM really is all I need when I'm doing work here in the building. I can go upstairs. It's all I need. But when I'm connecting remotely, I'd rather have the Jet KVM. When I'm connecting back to Studio A. So with that being said, just looking at my notes here. So I mentioned the local host issue, the Jet KVM being available to purchase now.
I've got a couple others.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, please go ahead.
Last Saturday, I talked about and demonstrated an issue. Let's see, it was the one regarding, client's office, 2 computers in the office, not 4. The client computer and the server computer, peer-to-peer networking, where with a recent Windows update, I think I reported this on Saturday. Yeah, I did. With a recent Windows update, it was unable to log into that peer server. I uninstalled the update, and that fixed the problem for one day. The next day, it's broken again. And I wound up concluding after some of the troubleshooting stuff that the SID was the problem. When I clone a computer from a source computer to a target computer, both computers then have the same computer security ID. These 2 computers were installed 2 years ago, maybe longer. And this was before I was routinely assigning new SIDs to the target computers. Well, Microsoft had published that SIDs aren't a problem with peer-to-peer networking, but they are a problem with domain servers, Active Directory, etc. But when I rolled the SID forward after doing a lot of other stuff, because I was, kept coming across that's not a problem. I went ahead and changed the SID because I said it's just not that hard to do, and that solved the problem, brought it back into functioning. And I think it was Saturday that I told that story and maybe showed some bits and pieces. I don't remember how much, but anyway, since then, Adam, was I think a fairly recent new participant on my channel, found and sent me documentation on October 22nd. So yesterday, 5 a.m. yesterday, sent me documentation of a document from Microsoft that was published on the 21st, just 2 days ago. So it was after my show on Saturday and after I had encountered the symptom, declaring that duplicate security IDs are going to be a problem with signing on a peer-to-peer network. So saying that, duplicate SIDs are a problem now, documented by Microsoft, and that's not a mistake. That's not an error. That's not something I'm going to reverse. That's a decision. So I had email exchanges back and forth with Adam, and appreciate him getting that to me. I said, how did you find that on the very day that it was published? Because I think he sent me the email at 5:45 a.m., but he had discovered it the evening before, the same day that Microsoft article was published, and it had shown up on his Twitter feed. He's subscribed to something that sent that to him. He said, I recognize it. That was from the subject that you were talking about on Saturday. So
I did watch Saturday's show, and I was biting my tongue the whole time. Back in around 1995, when we started using Ghost, the software for cloning that I initially used,
I did it.
We used to have SID problems, security identifier problems, when cloning, restoring. Like, we had 15 Toshiba laptops, all the same make and model. So I just made a system image of the way the corporation required the machine to be configured, and I would just restore that. And there was a feature at that time, and I think Macrium, Reflect, and Acronis have it, where you check a little box that says, when you're doing the clone, change the SID. Does Macrium Reflect have that?
It does. I think it's called restore on new hardware or different hardware, something like that. It doesn't actually identify the SID.
Cronus calls it the bare metal restore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now sometimes people ask me, Carey, why don't you take shortcuts? And I'm like, I always do every machine following the same process. Why don't you bake in your Windows updates? Why do you go to Windows Update it? I go, because that's how my customer's going to do it. I want to make sure it works the same way so I, instead of baking in all the updates with, a DISM or something like that, I do each machine as though it were a unique machine. And they go, well, what about cloning it? And I go, well, I don't like cloning it because I may be carrying over things I don't want to carry over, and I don't want to find out the hard way. So I'll tell the customers, I'm like, look, it's not that I refuse to do it. It's that we're introducing future problems, and you may not have that problem for years. You mentioned some of these machines you cloned 2 years ago, and now the consequence of that clone is now 2 years later. And you're smart enough to realize this, but most people, in my experience, they go, damn, Microsoft, what did they break this time? When it was they're the ones who caused it. So I would rather have the attitude of slow and steady wins the race. And this is that example when I started out the show that, we each have our own ways, and you have a reason for doing your way, but this is my reason right here is a live example that I never have this problem, never, because I don't do this process. And it's not because of this specific reason, but because of the idea that, well, I think I'm saving time and I think I'm being efficient. I don't know that for sure until time passes, and only the test of time can prove that. So I would rather be safe than have to revisit a problem that I myself created. And then what I wonder, and it's none of my business, but then do you charge the customer? And I'm asking myself, if I did that, would I charge the customer for that repair? And, I don't have to worry about it because I never do that. But if I were to do that, I would warn the customer. I'd say, look, I can do this for you, but you should know there could be consequences down the road. And if there are, I'm going to charge you for it because this is not the way I recommend doing it. But that's just my opinion. Not that it's worth anything, but
okay, but you actually don't always follow that advice that you just gave. And I have, in the same way that you were cringing on Saturday through my show, I've done the same with you, because there's one place in particular where you take a shortcut, you violate the Microsoft way of doing it, and it did bite you through a Windows update. And that was having no passwords on your local computers and your NAS. And there was an update that came along that you had to scurry to fix among your client's computers. You had to do some registry fix or something about the PowerShell commands regarding the
group policy editor.
Group policy editor. So you had to fix that, and
but that's not violating
computers without passwords. Yeah, that is not. Microsoft does not like having no passwords.
But I didn't have to bypass or take a shortcut. It's offered by Microsoft. In other words, I didn't have to modify Windows or take a shortcut. I simply made a different choice, but it was an allowed choice. I never modified or worked around any of the Microsoft rules. They don't advise it, but they allow it.
All right.
I mean,
cloning is allowed.
Oh, I guess my concern about cloning isn't about breaking any Microsoft rules. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we clone a computer, like for the audience, not for you, we're copying temp files. We're copying old Windows rot in the registry, potentially. We're copying potential problems that they're pre-existing but have not yet been known. And then the SID issue, which if you have one computer and you're just replacing it, that's never going to be a problem. But if you're working on a scale and you're doing 10 computers, like I was doing at this company back originally when I saw this problem in 1995, 1996, 97, somewhere there, we're logging into a server in a corporate environment. And I didn't want to set up every one of these damn laptops that were exactly the same make and model.
Right.
Like I'm a robot putting on this software and shaking this
Yeah.
off and setting it to corporate policy. I just made a ghost image. Back then I burned it on a CD, and I had a little CD rack, and I'd go through and okay, there's the Toshiba satellite, whatever it was, put in the ghost boot disk, restore that image. And there was an SID option to recreate the SID, which I learned the hard way. And now that I've learned that, 30 years ago or whatever it was, 25 years ago, I don't like it, and I don't want to go back and do that again. So I would rather just do a clean install. Let's put your software back on it. And then I'm less likely going to get a support call. Now, less likely doesn't mean I'm not going to get one, but it means if I'm not carrying over all your old stuff, like there's a reason we're replacing that old computer. And the idea behind cloning is I don't want to have to reset everything back up again. Now, Fabs Auto Backup makes this a lot, more encouraging to just let's start fresh. Because I will tell you, nobody in my experience, and you can speak from your own, but nobody has ever said, I'm sorry I started over. They usually don't want to. They usually go, oh, it's going to be so much work. And it really isn't. But their anxiety really thinks this is the worst thing in the world. I'm like, trust me on this. It does kind of suck to do it, but it's really not that bad. And once it's done, we're good for another 10 years. So let's put the time in. Let's get it done right. And, we'll keep the old computer just in case. But never once has anybody ever said they regret doing it. They just don't want to do it. And then the stability when it comes to support after that job, it sort of matches the stability of all my systems. It's not different for that customer. It's the same.
Oh.
So, if they still have a failed hard drive or a system failure, that still happens, but it's not more likely or less likely. It's not more likely than it will be for other people because I always follow this practice. And with regards to not having passwords, it's still, Microsoft changed their policy, right? So when Microsoft changes the policy, when it came to SIDs, that was in place in the 90s. And I've never gone back and revisited it. So if you've been able to use the same SID on a client server all this time, I never knew because I learned a long time ago not to do that. And I haven't revisited and said, gee, I wonder if this still doesn't work. So when you brought that up, I was like, wow, this was a long time ago that I did this. But because I insist on always doing a clean install, I haven't had that topic come up 20 years. So when you talked about it on Saturday, it just was like, oh yeah, I remember why I had the same problem. But with the password thing, that's always been allowed. Again, for 20 years. All of a sudden, Microsoft decided we're no longer going to make to enable a guest default login. That's all they did.
Yeah.
They just switched it from enabled to disabled. All I'm doing is putting it back the way it was.
Yeah, well, that sounds identical to my issue. Duplicate SIDs have been allowed in peer-to-peer, and then Microsoft recently changed their policy on that.
That's fair.
Sounds,
it's fair. It's just
means the same thing.
Did you ever hear the story?
And I do not have extra support calls from the people who have a cloned computer. That has not been an issue. They work fine.
I have. I mean, all it takes for me is one, and I'm pissed off. I'm like, I could have avoided this.
But
I'm so mad at myself.
For rebuilding from scratch, particularly if a client has lots of different software, lots of personalized customizations that they don't even understand that they have, like the Zoom level that I was talking about in the Microsoft Access, and this one particular client. It's most of the people that I do the clones with don't ever call me for anything. This one has had several things. Now I should explain here, I did not clone her previous computer. In this office, what I do is I have one master computer. I call it the base image computer that I've put all of their software on, and I'm cloning that. So it doesn't have old stuff, old dead dead
I
weight,
gotcha.
and I can clean it out. And then I play the Fabs Auto Backup restore to it. But Fabs Auto Backup doesn't actually restore everything in regards to configurations regarding the software. There's still stuff that I have to do. And there's still other stuff that I once in a while find a client that calls me out, hey, such and such, it's different. Okay, well, how is it different? And they're not very good at verbalizing what's different or even remembering how it used to be. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, and it doesn't work for me. So I actually have the old computers, even sometimes for a particular individual, I might be more inclined to do this where I put their old computer in another room somewhere connected to the network that I can still connect remotely to it to see what is it that they're talking about? What is it that's different, so that I can figure out the solution to their new computer.
Well, I guess it depends on the individual end user, because it's pretty universal. They don't like change.
Yeah.
And so I just this last weekend, I had to replace an older mini PC that was not Windows 11 compatible with a new one. And in doing so, I know this client is very limited technically. They're not very tech savvy. They want to get in their Gmail. They want to be able to print. They need access to the NAS. And what I did, here's how I did it. And again, this isn't to criticize anything you're doing. I just do things differently. It's not better. It's not worse. It's my way. There's Doug's way. You're responsible for your way. You're happy with that. I'm responsible for my way. I'm happy with that. And this is for the information for the audience to give them some confidence that they should be doing things their way. You know, if they take a little from me, they take a little from you. They take nothing from me and they take everything. Whatever they choose is right for them. So what I did is I went in over the weekend. I brought the computer in. I got the map network drive set up. I got the printer set up. I don't use Fabs. I copied the user directory from the old computer onto a flash drive. Then I disconnect the old computer, plug the new one in, plug the flash drive in, and copy, bookmarks, documents, pictures, and most importantly, desktop icons, right? And before I had disconnected the computer, I take my phone camera, and I take a picture of the resolutions and scale of how this guy's got this set up, because I don't know what it is. Then I take a picture of everything on the system tray, and I take a picture of all the pinned quick, what are they called? Quick access pins. Now, I don't even know that he knows he put those on there. What I'm trying to do is make this as seamless as possible.
Right.
Now, they did end up calling me, and I figured they're going to call me for something. I have the old computer back here with me, so if there's something I need to look at, I don't keep it there. I keep it with me, and I can fire it up, and I can remotely transfer any files I might have missed. And we had an issue with, actually, I think it was a printer. I think I forgot to set the printer up, and I've got a picture of it. I took a picture of all the devices, and I forgot. So they called me and said, can you help me set up the printer? I log in with Instant House Call. I add the printer. I go, is it printing? They go, yeah, it's printing. I go, anything else? No, everything's good. Right on. So I don't use Fabs Auto Backup. I had to reinstall Microsoft Office for this client and reactivate it. Made sure I did that. Before I delivered it, I did that here, because I knew that, he needs Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And they have an Adobe Acrobat license. And I told them, you're going to have to put Adobe back on this. I can't do that for you. And they said, well, could you help me? I said, sure. So while we were logged in doing the printer, she goes, how do I put that back on? I go, I don't know. I've never seen you do it before, but you've done it on every computer in this office, but you can't remember. So I said, well, if I had to guess, we'd go to adobe.com. We'd look for Acrobat. Somewhere there's a sign-in page. You sign in. It'll show you what products you're paid for. And then there's a download button, and we're going through this. And I'm seeing it for the very first time. And sure enough, there is a sign-in button. And sure enough, there's the list of products that you own. And you click on it. It says, here's how here's your download for Windows. She downloads it and installs. I go, anything else? She goes, no, I think that's it. I said, well, if anything comes up, let me know. So far, it's been quiet. But I will hold that old PC for at least a month without touching it, just in case.
Yeah.
But I could have cloned it. I could have just as easily said, okay, I'm going to take this Windows 10 on his old mini PC. I'm going to clone it over to this new mini PC. Then I'm going to replace all the bad drivers. We'll set the resolution back up for the video resolution and scale. And he should be good to go. Some of the software may need to be reactivated because the hardware changed, right? So if I clone over Microsoft Office, oh, by the way, his Microsoft Office was version 2019, where support ended on October 14th. So we needed to get him into Office 2024. We needed to do that anyway. He was going to have Office reinstalled.
In the scenario that you described, I would also build the computer from original and install.
No, I'm just saying it's an option though, and it's a choice.
It's not. There are times when I, do the out-of-box experience and install the software that's needed and do all the configurations and maybe not even use Fab's auto backup, depending upon the circumstances. There are times when I may do the out-of-box experience, install software, and use Fabs. There are times when I may do a clone of the person's prior computer and restore it to the new computer. There are times when I may build up a base image computer for the whole office, including everything that they need. And then as I roll out computers to the individual desks, use Fab's auto backup to restore their profile from their old computer or build their profile from scratch, depending upon the circumstances.
Sure, exactly. That's the same for both of us. I don't necessarily have a blanket way that there's always going to be exceptions, and it's always dependent upon the individual customer's needs. And some customers, they're in regulated industries where you don't have a choice. If you're going to do work in the financial industry or perhaps even real estate or health, you have to follow those government regulations, and they have to as well. And if you don't know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But you definitely, there are potential serious financial consequences when governmental regulations are not followed. But other clients, most of my clients, I don't think I have a client that has any. Well, I guess the accountants have some form of regulatory requirements with regard to how the customer data is stored, but it's pretty easy stuff. Like it's something I'm doing anyway. I know people that work in financial industries where there are these rules you have to follow, FINRA rules, or in the health industry, there are the HIPAA rules. And I don't deal with that, so I don't even know what they are. But, it's one way you can also earn a lot more money, because if you are specializing in those certifications to abide by those government regulations, that makes you worth more as a tech to those companies in that industry. So anyway, the whole SID thing, boy, that brought me back though, because that was a nightmare for me. And it was in the 90s. And I'm like, I never want to do this again. And I was going to tell you, did you ever hear the story of, and I don't know if it's true, but I love the parable or the fable where when a circus got a baby elephant, they would tie it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for the people who don't know it, they tie a rope around its ankle and they tie that to a stake they drive in the ground. And the baby elephant can try as hard as it cannot break that free. And they mention that you may go to a circus, not that there's many these days, and you see a giant full-grown elephant with a little tiny rope tied to its ankle, and you think that elephant could just easily pull that out of the ground. But because the elephant learned it couldn't do that when it was a baby elephant, it doesn't try ever again. And for that matter, in that circumstance, it works to keep the elephant where you want the elephant to stay. And I guess for me, that whole SID thing is my rope around my ankle. I never tried it again. I said, well, that doesn't work, moved on. And until you mentioned it, it was so far out of my mind, I forgot SIDs even existed. Because I never needed to know. Like everything's always a fresh, clean install. So It just never came up, regardless if it's a peer-to-peer or a client server. Just never affected me. And then when I heard it, that's why I say I was biting my lip. I'm like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
But there you've been using it without a problem.
Yeah.
Where I didn't know that. I just assumed it's going to be a problem and just avoided that road altogether. Come to find out that road was perfectly safe. So there you go. Ignorance is bliss, I suppose. But yeah, I love stories like this, by the way. I love the different approach and the reasoning behind it. Because there's nothing I hate worse than somebody going, well, this is how I do it. That's why. You have reasoning and logic. I have reasoning and logic. And, at the end of the day, like I started this off, if you're meeting your customers' needs and you're staying in business, that's all that matters. What somebody on the internet thinks or another tech thinks is completely optional. It's interesting, but it doesn't really play into any form of changing reality because your job is still your job. Your processes and your reasons for those processes they're not changed, and nor was it an intent to change it. It's there to teach the audience that it's like ordering on a menu at a restaurant. You order what you want for whatever reason. I'll order what I want for my reason. It could be that you're trying to have a certain diet, or you've got a big appetite and you want a bigger meal, whatever your reason is. But just because you do it that way, or just because you ordered that on the menu, I don't have to order the same thing. And this is no different in that regard. And if there's one message I want to send to the audience is that if you're offering help to somebody, give them the space, right, to reject your idea without taking it personally. It just doesn't meet some requirement that they have. And it doesn't mean your information's bad or wrong. It's just not a good fit for them for some reason. And respect that, right? I think that's the important thing. And ultimately, unless you're getting paid by that customer, who cares? If a customer says, I'm not good with this and I'm not going to pay you, well, you got a problem to deal with. But if somebody on the internet says, oh, you're doing this all wrong, okay, so. So anyway, just a
you had asked about whether I would charge the client for the extra time to fix this. Yes. I might soften it up somewhat, but the validation, the logic behind it is I do talk with my clients about the experimental nature of the things that I do. I might not discuss that on every instance, but pretty much in every instance, they're saving a boatload of money by me using the techniques that I use. So right. If it bites back once in a while, that is the cost of saving money, and they still have a net positive result. And I cannot afford to eat costs, eat my time. Every time that a software program or a hardware or Microsoft makes a change to something that how they've been doing, that has a negative impact on something I've been doing that has been saving my clients money, and that was reasonably close to painting within the lines. Not quite coloring within the lines, but close enough. So I will, depending upon the details, I will soften it somewhat. And if I do, I show that on the invoice. I'll show what the full amount would be, and then I give a line called courtesy discount without any further explanation. No, they've never questioned it. They've never argued it.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm a terrible businessman. I'd feel like, well, that created that. Unless I warn the customer, you say you're warning them. If I said, look, I can do this, but I want you to know this isn't how I recommend doing it. If you want me to do it anyway, I need your understanding that there could be consequences to this that I won't be responsible for. I'll have to charge you. But it may be fine. I don't know. But if we do it my way, I stand behind it. So which way do you want to go? You decide. And I let the customer make that decision. I don't make it for them.
And that was that was a very significant conversation regarding these $200 B-Link computers. And for a while, they were pretty significantly below that. I told we could experiment with these. I did. I described the companies to them. They're kind of fairly new company, but this one has a lot of product, a lot of good reviews. And but this is a major turn in the industry. When I tell my clients that it's $200 or thereabouts, some of them, their eyebrows went up like, what? Yeah, but I did explain to them, I don't know what's going to happen with these down the road. Well, at $200,
Who cares?
if you wind up having to do something down the road, then oops. So sorry, Charlie. But compared to what they've been accustomed to spending in the past, they're just really happy, and the responses from them about how satisfied they are with these computers is just like I'm just as surprised as anybody. Maybe other people weren't willing to try these bottom-end computers. When I first started doing these, I had some people in the chat or in the comments saying, Celeron.
Yeah.
These N95s, I think they were called. But when I looked into what the developments of the, what is it called? Operations per second. Is that what it's called? On these processors from 11th gen, 12th gen, I think is where they advanced so much that they run circles around my clients that were replacing computers that were i7s and i5s that, 8th gen and older. So they're doing the same stuff with these computers that they were doing 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. And the processors are 10 years more powerful. But, those low-end processors from Intel, they were terrible. Like the Atom processors.
Oh, yeah. Back then. Yeah.
Do you remember the Atom and the Centrino?
Yeah. I stayed away from them. And the
Yeah, me
Celeron
too.
I stayed away from.
Painful. But now it's not the same anymore. So we do end up, psychologically, I'm fascinated by this great desire to publicly expose ignorance. Like when I grew up, we used to hide it. We used to be ashamed of it. But today, especially on the internet, people want to stand and shout from the rooftops, look how dumb I am. Like, that's a weird thing to boast. So when somebody's like, oh, a Celeron processor, right? Well, yeah, if we're having this conversation 10 years ago, have you been keeping up? Because it doesn't sound like you have. And if it were me, I wouldn't shout that from the rooftop and look like a fool. But maybe you're doing it on purpose. Maybe you want the attention, or maybe you're genuinely that disconnected from current times. But why would you voluntarily and impulsively broadcast that to the world? Unless I'm selling it to you, even if you're right, what do you care? If I'm building a computer for you, let's say Doug, and one of our viewers says, I can't believe you'd sell Doug that piece of crap. But if I don't think it's a piece of crap and you don't think it's a piece of crap, I'm happy to sell it and put my name behind it, and you think it's a good deal and you're happy to buy it. Who the hell cares what anybody else thinks? They're not paying for it. They're not living with it, and they're not making the sale, and they're not held accountable. So what? Okay, you wouldn't do it. Great. Good to know. By the way, who are you? I never seem to understand why on the internet people think they don't have to establish any reputation. They could just come in and speak their mind and say, this is the rule and this is the law and this is the way it is, and go under a false name. We don't even know if they're a real person. And they can be ultra critical, but yet you can't be ultra critical back to them because we don't know anything about them. So let me first establish who you are, then I'll establish if you're worth listening to. Because you might have freedom of speech, but I don't have to listen. There's nothing that requires me to listen to your speech. That's not a law. You don't have a right to be heard. So And even then, it doesn't really apply on platforms like YouTube. That's a government thing. But regardless of all of that, if we just play that out and humor them, why do they care so much? Like they're like social justice warriors. You're ripping off DougBetts. How could you rip off Doug? What are you talking about? Well, you're selling them a piece of crap. And I'm not saying this has ever happened, but similar things have happened.
Sure.
Where people interject themselves into scenarios that have nothing to do with them. We don't know who they are. We don't know why they care. And we don't know why they're so offended. It's like, what has this got to do with you? If you don't like it, walk away. And, you know, I got a business to run. And if you're going to spend your life policing every transaction that everybody makes with everybody else, you're going to be a busy person. I don't know how you're going to pay your bills at the end of the month, but good luck with that. I bet you make a lot of friends.
That topic kind of triggers me on a related point. I've had a number of situations where I get called in by a new client to do work in an office, or maybe they're asking for a second opinion for something going on. And I have come across tendencies in the past for computer technicians that I'll describe, in my opinion, as not very seasoned. And they will just come right off the bat criticizing the former person that was doing the support. I make it a point to look for ways to compliment the prior person, regardless of what the client has primed me with as far as how they felt about the person. I think, and I'm saying this as part of my opinion, that we're here to try to spread better techniques and presentations among computer service technicians. So I look for ways to compliment the other person, or even if they did something that was blatantly wrong and noticeably wrong, to give some reason why it was not that unreasonable for them to do that, that it could have worked out well. And I get the sense back from the clients that I'm talking to that they respect me for that and appreciate that. And in most cases, they wind up wanting to use me for that. I mean, use me for their services. And that doesn't, that having that attitude on my part doesn't lose me business. So I put that out there. Maybe it can cause somebody to think about the way they're talking about other technicians, or like, even if you're in competition for a new client and you have some familiarity of the other person, I want to encourage you, don't be dogging on them. Focus on your strengths and what you bring to the table that you think is unique and beneficial. You don't have to talk down about the other technicians.
I'll tell you when that comes up for me. Let's say, here's a real world example. A client calls me and says, we can't print to our printers anymore. Well, did something change? Yeah, we had this guy come in and put Wi-Fi into our office. Oh, you didn't ask me to do that? No, we had this other guy. So why are you not asking the other guy to fix it? Like, if I would have done it and the result is now you can't print, I would hope you'd call me back so I can fix my mistake. But you want to call me in to fix this other guy's mistake? They go, yeah. I said, well, if you'd have used me, and I'm happy to fix it, but I'm just telling you, if you would have used me, you wouldn't need to go to somebody else. So I go in there and find out the guy didn't just replace, or add Wi-Fi rather. He completely removed all the routers. He didn't communicate with me at all to ask me or to include me to let me know what he's planning to do. I got this secondhand from the person that works there saying, yeah, they're just adding Wi-Fi. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, let them add Wi-Fi. Oh no, he ripped my router out. He put a Ubiquiti router in there that I have no access to. He added these Ubiquiti access point, or, broadcast Wi-Fi, whatever. He put in Ubiquiti cameras with the whole NVR system. And I said, it sounds to me like there's not much I can do to help you anymore. you might just want to go ahead and just hire that guy full time. And we don't want to hire that guy full time. We want you to do it. I go, I don't know this equipment. It's not that I can't learn it, but you're the only customer I've got that's got it. And I'll do my best for you. But if I was you, maybe it's just time to just let me go and just have this other guy do it. No, we're not hearing of it. We want you on, and we want your help. And if you get stuck with it or whatever, that's fine. We understand. I said, well, I'll do my best. But I would have preferred if you would have called me before pulling the trigger on this to even let me know what the proposal was, because I got to put all this in for you for probably 80% less than you paid, and without causing all this disruption. So, am I throwing the other guy under the bus? I mean, the guy should have had the courtesy to contact me and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or are there any passwords I need to know? Or you should be aware that I'm going to change the entire IP infrastructure. So anything hard coded into the IP range isn't going to work, like the printers. And I could have said, could you just use the IP range we've got now? Can you just change it so that we don't upheave everything that's already been set? We never had this conversation, and he left a mess and he didn't clean it up. And I don't know that they asked him to. All I know is they called me. I didn't even know this was happening. And all of a sudden, everything I spent so much time configuring was completely dismantled, and I had to start over again. And I billed them for it, but the whole thing was avoidable.
Yeah.
So, in that circumstance, yeah, I'm gonna put him under the bus, because I think that's where he deserves to be. And when the phone guy calls me and the phone guy says, hey, Carey, I'm going to come in and we're adding some VoIP lines. Is there anything I need to be aware of, or is there anything you need from me? I say always the same thing. I say, thank you for letting me know. If you run into any problems on the network, just reach out to me at any time. If you need access to something that, isn't obvious, let me know what I can do for you. And thank you for the heads up. That's what I expect from a peer. And this guy didn't give me that courtesy. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't hire him. I didn't know what he was about to do. And all I got were the consequences. So would you still say nice things about this guy?
Yes. And I would say nice things about the client. I would not have taken that approach with
You're
the client.
a better man
That's
than me.
just a difference between us. And what would typically happen with my client is they would wind up saying down the road, man, I wish we would have turned to you in the first place. I'd rather them come up with that statement rather than me saying it to them.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's a much more professional. I'm just honest. I have this candor. It sometimes puts people off because I don't sugarcoat it. I'm like, here's what happened. Here's the result. Here's how it could have been avoided. How do you want to proceed? Because I'm going to bill you for this, and I'm not happy about it. This was
well, I'm glad you billed them for it.
What's that?
I'm glad you billed them for it.
Well, yeah, I was pissed, but at the same time,
yeah. See, I wouldn't have been pissed. I wouldn't have been pissed. I would have been able to do that project without getting pissed and bill them for it and not throw the other technician under the bus.
Fine.
I would let the client throw them all under the bus.
My attitude is the reason I can't do it for free is then it's like I'm fixing this other guy's problems.
Oh,
that's the money and not me. They paid him.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it right. He left a mess.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I came in and did it for free, I'm just basically working for the other guy. So I'm like, no. I want to make sure there's a line in the sand. I didn't do this. I didn't cause this. This could have been avoided. And now you want me to fix it. So now I'm going to bill you too. And you take it up with the other guy. I'm not, he never even gave me a courtesy call.
Now in order for me to reconcile that type of situation, I put a scenario into my head to make it understandable. I put a story in my head about what might have happened where I can say, all right, I can be at peace with this. So you don't know the circumstances of how they wind up saying yes to that person. As far as you know, it could have been one of the owner's kids or a friend of the family or someone that they met somewhere and they were trying to get a business off the ground and didn't have much seasoning, and they decided that they'll take a chance on it and let it go, and then they They wind up seeing that it's gone all wrong, and they know, no, we don't want to get this person to fix it because we already have an impression that they don't really know what they're doing. We need Carey to come in and handle this. Now,
Do
when
you have a
Carey
spy camera in my house? Because you pretty much just nailed the whole thing right there.
okay, when Carey comes in, we know, because we've encountered this kind of thing with us before, we're going to get chewed out by him. He's going to say, you should have had you do it. And this is going to cause them to be reluctant to call you for things early in the process. If you if they know that when you come in that you're not going to, knock them for having made this choice, but you're going to do your best to help them and be somehow supportive and not making them feel bad about their choice, then they are more willing to call you earlier in any kind of a circumstance, is my opinion. In my experience.
I'm sure you're right, but a common courtesy in my world would be to bring me in on that a little earlier. Say, hey, we're about to undergo some work here. Can we give your number to this guy so he can call you if he runs into any problem? I would have said, yeah, of course. But instead I got blindsided. I was intentionally left out until it got so bad, because it looks like, rather than perhaps the way you paint it, where let's not call Carey, he'll be upset. It's let's not pull the rug out from this other kid. Let's give him a chance to fix his problems until so much time passes and so much money is spent. They say, that's enough. Get Carey in here. That's the way I think it went down. And I'm going to say, you realize you're going to be paying me to do work, right? You are aware. I'm not upset. What I'm upset about is I'm going to have to bill you now for something that you didn't need to be billed for if you would have had me do it to begin with, and it would have cost you less money and it would have already been done. And now you're having me clean up somebody else's work, and you didn't even give me the opportunity to give you a quote for what I would have charged you. And your guy that you hired never had the courtesy to let me know what he was about to do. I'm offended at that. Like, I'm your regular tech. I've been your regular tech for 15 years, and you just pulled the rug out under me for what did I do to deserve that? And now I got to come in and fix it, and I'm going to bill you for that. And I feel terrible for you. I feel so bad that you made these bad decisions.
You feel so bad for them that you're going to make them feel worse by drilling down on it.
There is a point where you're crying over spilled milk. What's done is done, right? But I want them I want to make it very clear for the future, when you're making these decisions, if you give me an opportunity to quote you or at least be involved in it in some way, we can reduce this from ever happening. And if it does happen, it won't be so bad. I can't make you do it, but I just want you to know this is your choice. And I would have been more than happy. I never said no. You never asked. And you don't have to ask. You keep doing it the way you're doing it.
Well, they probably won't. They probably learned the lesson.
Well, and maybe. See, here's the thing. This was a massive network upgrade, and it was part of a building expansion. That's all done. So when are they ever going to have to do that again anyway?
Learn the lesson as far as putting more thought and consideration before saying yes to something.
They wired this whole building up with some really expensive cabling for 10 gig networking. It was this really thick and flexible, difficult to run cable. And I'm like, they only have a 1 gig network. They're not even 2.5. Why are you doing this? They're like, well, it's future proofing. And I'm like, future is wireless. You're never going to, are you opening a data center? Are you changing your business? Because then this makes sense. No, we just want the best. Well, who told you that was the best? My son. So your son's reading stuff online. And he's, it's got to be Noctua this and, Ubiquity that. And I'm like, if you were a massive corporation and you had hundreds of employees, your son would be right. But it doesn't apply to you. You just spent a whole lot of money for equipment you're never going to fully utilize. That now is going to be more difficult for me to maintain because I don't work on that level of equipment. Most companies that do that have an IT department full time. You just have me, and then this other kid who you installed, who was his kid's friend in college. You could have at least consulted with me. I mean, really, that's the part that hurts the most. You couldn't even get my opinion. You just approved everything your kid wanted. You trusted his friend. And then the friend would listen to the kid instead of listening to the boss. And they thought they knew everything. And why would we talk to Carey? He's old and out of touch. We know way more than that old guy. And, you know, here we are. And I mentioned to the boss, and he said, he did get fed up with me on one thing, where he said, look, my son's an idiot. You want to raise him? What do you want me to do? I said, I'm not telling you how to raise your kids. I don't have any kids. What do I know? I'm just saying that, you know, it's frustrating for me because you didn't have to listen to your kid. You could have just brought me in on this, and it would have made everything easier. That's all. You know, it's your business and it's your choices, and I'm not telling you what to decide. But I'm telling you that if you take a different approach, this won't be so rough for either of us in the future. That's all. But yeah, that was the only time he was upset. He was like,
yeah, I need to get this one down and move on to other tasks. There is a last question there from Baldy. Question to both of you. Would you be so kind towards a client who has a history of never paying you on time or asking for a discount on every service call?
oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. I'm ready to go for this.
Take it.
History of never paying you on time. I have clients who have a history of often not paying me on time. And the way I find out is that I go to apply their payment for a subsequent invoice, meaning they have missed an invoice. And that's when I became aware that they did not pay that invoice, not only not on time, but not at all. I just resend it to them saying, hey, this one's still outstanding and hasn't been paid. And they say, oops, sorry. And they send the payment. I don't get stressed over it. I don't call them. I just send it. I have a few clients, they're just not very good at the paperwork. And I don't sweat it. I'm not looking at my receivables every day like some businesses do. And some people scratch their heads over that. And then when their check comes in, it might sit on my desk for weeks before I process it. So as far, but a client who asking for a discount on every service call, they won't be my client much longer. That's asking for a discount is very, very rare. If there is some reasonable justification for that, I'll respond with, I'm going to soften the charges on that. I was already going to soften the charges on that without you asking. And that would be when I run into something that like this thing with the SID change. And even after they receive this invoice with charging this amount, if they call back and say, hey, can you soften this a little bit more? I probably would, particularly for this client, because long time, good client. But they're not even going to, frankly, I don't think they even read the invoice. They're just going to look at the amount and send the check. That's very typical among my clients. So, but I have had clients where they have like refused to pay a invoice or argued against it. And I just said, okay, you know what, let's do this. Don't pay that invoice at all. And we are finished. Go find someone else to do your service. And we part ways. Now, one of those in particular came back a year or two later and say, would you please handle our service calls again? Oh, you got another one there?
I'm just putting up some comments that I thought were,
right,
you know, deserving of having attention there. So here's my approach on that, because this has been a frequent topic when we talk about running the business. I don't like the paperwork, and I'm glad that Mara does. So I'll let her handle the paperwork. And it's been a while since I've had a client that didn't pay on time. or, you know, it's really about communication. So a client of mine recently said, you know, we got your invoice, but would it be okay if we paid it past the invoice due date? Because we're right in the middle of a project and our finances are really well drained. But by the first week after that it's due, would that be okay? No problem. I appreciate the heads up. Not an issue. Okay. But when they don't communicate and the bill's not paid, boy, this was a real tough thing for me to go, how do I approach this? So I think what I came up with, I think is for me anyway, the best method, which is to assume they never got it.
Yeah.
So I'll reach out and say, oh, I just noticed the invoice remains unpaid. Did you not receive that?
Yeah.
Or is there a problem, or is there a reason that you're upset with me that, you know, that so I didn't do something that you were expecting that I need to be, because I'm not aware if you're being upset with the work I did. Was the work not okay? And quite often I don't even take it that far. It's just, I see the invoice is past due. Did you not get my invoice? And I just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if they say, no, we never got it. Oh, my apologies. Let me get one out to you right away. Now, if they call me again and they haven't paid an invoice and I haven't yet, you know, reached out about it, I say, well, tell you what, I'm happy to go ahead and schedule you. Let's go ahead. Can we take care of that past invoice right now? Let's go ahead and wrap that up while I got you on the phone, and then we'll schedule the next one. And if they say, well, we'll pay you for both when you're here, okay, that's fine too. No problem. Now, if they call a third time and they still haven't paid those two, it's a hard stop. Let's go ahead and get those past invoices, because I'm not a credit card company, right? You're asking me to finance your work. If you want a discount, and I haven't had anybody ask for a discount, but if they did, I'd say, well, did I do something wrong? Was the job not done right? Did I not do what we agreed within the time frame and the amount of money I estimated? Did I do everything on time? Was it all done right the first time? Did it amount to the total that I told you it was going to cost? Yes. So normally, like, a discount would be applied if I didn't meet your expectations. Was there some expectation of yours I didn't meet? No. Okay. And when we talked about the job and I told you how much it will cost, is the amount more than that? No. So what's changed? You were okay with the estimate. You approved the work. I did everything we agreed on. So wouldn't you have asked for a discount before you approved the work? That's the whole point of setting expectations. And many years ago, I had a client say, well, you know, it's exposure for you. I'm going to tell a lot of my friends about you. You're going to get a lot of work. You'll get a lot of future work from me. And I was like, yeah, for half price, who wouldn't? You know what I mean? Like, duh. If you're going to pay half as much and in return I can do twice as much work, why would I do that to earn the same amount of money? Of course you're going to use me more if you're getting it for half price. So at that point, those relationships with those clients just stop. If they continue to call me, I simply don't return their calls anymore. It's not worth even my time to give them the common courtesy to say, I'm not going to service you anymore. I'm just not returning your call. You'll figure it out. Give them time. Let them call a few times. Eventually, they'll figure out I'm not returning their calls. Not all customers are good customers. And when you have a good customer, it makes sense to give them a discount if they ask for it because they've been good to you. It makes sense to bend over backwards for them, but not for everybody, because they're not just a customer. They're a good customer. Otherwise, customers come and go. They're all worth the same. But when you have a good customer, and by that I mean they give you regular work, they're a pleasure to work with, you enjoy working for them, they don't withhold payment or use it as blackmail or extortion to get you to do something else in addition for free. They don't try manipulation. When it's truly a reciprocal, I'm getting something from this and you're getting something, and I appreciate. I was just at a client's the other day and he said, I've been with this client like 20 years. And this is that computer I was replacing, that mini computer. And I caught him at the office, and I don't see him that often. And he goes, I just want you to know we appreciate everything you do for us. And I said, well, I appreciate the opportunity. I wish I had more customers like you. Do you know any? So I'm trying to, return the compliment back. It's all reciprocal. And when it's not reciprocal, when it's, you're going to do this for me and I'll throw you a shiny nickel, get lost, buddy. You're not doing me a favor. We're making an exchange. And that's where I kind of lose my cool, is when it feels like I'm being treated, that they're doing me a favor hiring me.
Yeah.
And I'll say, don't do me any favors.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, yeah. Looking at the time. Hey, listen, we're running a little long today. Well,
right.
Always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us, as always. And you can check out Doug's live Windows training with Doug Betts every Saturday. That's from
11 a.m. Pacific time.
11 a.m. to 1 p.m. usually, right? Right
Yeah.
around there. And he has a live chat just like this. It's very interactive. And I wish we had more questions today. If we did, I didn't see them. My apologies for that. I want to thank all the members and thank everybody for hanging out and joining us today. And of course, our good friend, Doug Betts, for hanging out. Always a pleasure having you here. Thank you again.
Thank you, Carey.
And that's going to wrap it up for us for today. Thanks to Mara, of course, for all the cool thumbnails she did today.
Awesome thumbnail. Yeah, I love that thumbnail.
Maybe we need to get on Sora and scan our faces, and then we can make a real new realistic. Then all hell's going to break loose. All right. Thanks to everybody who's joined us. And that'll wrap it up. We'll be back live tomorrow. We do a show every Friday at 1 p.m. Arizona time. And I'm starting to mention that because daylight savings is just a couple weeks away. And then there'll be a time change for California, but no, not for Arizona. It's always 1 p.m. Phoenix time. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. In the meantime, thanks to everyone for hanging out. We'll see you all again very, very soon. And on behalf of Doug Betts and myself, bye for now.
Bye for now.